My fiancé made a split-second decision that has cost me a year of my life, and I'm furious. I, 26F, my fiancé, 30M, and his son, 5Y, were out getting Chipotle on March 14th. On the way home, we reached a busy intersection with a blinking yellow light. My fiancé was driving, and I could tell he was about to go. I saw a car coming fast, and I very clearly told him to wait until the light was green. I don't know if he didn't hear me, didn't take me seriously, or just ignored me, but he kept driving forward anyway, and we got T-boned by a car going 50 miles per hour. Everyone else walked away fine, including his son, thank God, but I was crushed. I ended up with 2 full breaks in my pelvis, 2 fractures in my tailbone, fractures in my L4 and L5 vertebrae, and a fractured sternum. I was, and still am, in so much pain I can't even explain it. I wouldn't wish this kind of pain on anyone. I was rushed to the ER, where everything was a complete blur, except the trauma. I started having intense flashbacks, panic attacks, and nightmares about the crash and the pain. I had to undergo surgery where 2 7-inch steel screws were inserted into my pelvis. At the hospital, they gave me a back brace that was way too big for me. The nurses and PTs even admitted they didn't measure and just guessed my size. Even when we told them it was too big, they didn't do anything about it. And despite this, they expected me to stand up and move around wearing it. That brace did nothing for support. Moving in it felt like my spine and pelvis were being ripped apart. The pain I was in trying to follow their orders to stand and walk was inhumane. All I remember from those days is pain, frustration, fear, and this overwhelming sense of helplessness. After about a week, I was transferred to a physical rehabilitation center. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to bathe. I didn't want to move. I was so depressed and in so much pain that even thinking about shifting in bed made me cry. I had to depend on strangers for the most basic things, going to the bathroom, bathing, even feeding myself. As someone who's always been independent, it was utterly humiliating and devastating. I'm home now, but my recovery is far from over. Doctors and physical therapists all told me the same thing. You have the second worst kind of break anyone can experience. You'll need at least a year to recover, if not longer. You can't put weight on your right leg for 3 months. No bending, no twisting. And even after the 3 months, it'll be a very slow process. And that's the part that's eating me alive. Because before this, I was finally getting my life together. I was working on my health. I was eating right, doing CrossFit regularly, getting stronger and finally meeting people and socializing. I had just gone back to college. I was finally building structure into my life after being recently diagnosed with ADHD, and now, it's all on hold. I can't work out. I can't leave the house unless it's for a doctor's appointment. I can't do anything by myself. And it feels like I lost everything I was working so hard to build. And even though my fiancé has been supportive through all of this and is helping take care of me, I'm so angry at him. I told him. I warned him. I said, don't go. Wait. And when I asked him why he kept going, he just said, I don't know. And that, I don't know, is now costing me an entire year of my life. Maybe more. And I'm the one who's paying for it every single day, so yeah. I just needed to get this off my chest. I feel trapped in my own body. I feel like I'm grieving the life I could have had this year. I feel angry, sad, helpless, and I'm just trying to make sense of it all. But mostly, I just want my life back. I know this is temporary. I know I'll eventually recover. But losing a year of my life, my sense of normalcy, and my peace of mind is really, really rough. If anyone has any advice on how I can work on this or maybe even share their own experiences similar to this one, I'd greatly appreciate it. TLDR, my fiancé ran a blinking yellow light after I told him to wait, and we got T-boned. Everyone else walked away fine, but I ended up with multiple fractures in my spine, tailbone, and sternum, as well as 2 full breaks in my pelvis. I had to undergo surgery, wear a brace that didn't even fit, and was forced to move through unbearable pain. I've lost my independence, my ability to walk, and a year, or more, of progress I had worked so hard for. I'm angry, grieving the life I was building, and just trying to get through it day by day. Relevant comments. Was everyone in the car wearing seatbelts? Reply, yes, everyone was wearing a seatbelt. Commenter 2, that would be a deal breaker for me. Commenter 3, I have a permanent spinal injury. I can move and walk just fine on the good days, but on the bad days, I need crutches just to go to the loo. I am so sorry to say this, but this is not just a year. This is a lifetime injury now that you are going to have to deal with. You know what got me through mine? What keeps me going? knowing that I can trust the people around me good days or bad. Please seriously think about if 5 or 10 years down the line, will you be able to trust your fiancé? Or is the distrust and anger, which you have every right to feel, going to fester inside you and make those bad days 100 times worse when you see him? Now this is the most important part. You will get through this. I absolutely believe that. I remember the day I accepted that I was going to get through it, because I was able to walk down to the tattoo shop near me, stand in line for 4 hours and get a Friday the 13th tattoo to celebrate just being able to walk. You have a long road ahead of you, sister, just know you aren't alone. Give me a shout if you want to vent. Commenter 4, you should start seeing a therapist, maybe over Zoom first, and discuss this, maybe start journaling as well. You should definitely talk with someone about this anger you have towards your fiancé, and you may want to do couples counseling. I agree with Boxer Mom, I'd be done, because that was really reckless move that could have killed everyone, and he's responsive, I don't know, doesn't cut it for me. Update, I honestly didn't expect my post to receive this much attention. I was just venting my thoughts and emotions in the moment as I'm still going through the stages of grief. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts, advice, and support regarding my situation. I want to clear up a few things and provide some additional context, including my fiancé's perspective on why he didn't stop. To start, for those wondering about where the accident happened, since the rules around blinking yellow lights vary, it took place in Texas, within the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's all I'll share location-wise for privacy reasons. Next, a lot of people have asked whether my fiancé has shown remorse and how he's been supporting me since the accident. The answer is yes, he's been devastated. He has apologized to me multiple times, at the crash site, in the hospital, during rehab, and at home. He's also been having panic attacks himself as of lately, something that he's never experienced prior to the accident. There was one moment where he called me panicking because he couldn't find his truck keys and desperately wanted to come see me to make sure I'm doing okay. My mom had to drive over to calm him down and help. He also continued to visit me frequently in the hospital and at the rehab center, and he's been advocating for me when I had issues, such as the back brace I was given, which was clearly too large. Side note, despite multiple people from my family, fiancé, and even the PTs mentioning it, the hospital staff didn't replace it. It wasn't until I called the hospital a week later, frustrated, that they finally took action. I had to put on my Karen voice and explain that their failure to properly size the brace was actively hindering my recovery. Eventually, I got a new one in a smaller size. Fun fact, the brace only comes in 2 sizes, S/M and L/XL. I'll let you guess which one they gave me. My fiancé has also been helping me understand the insurance claim process. From what we know, I may be looking at around $100,000. Additionally, at home, he's made sure I have what I need to recover. He just bought me a $300 plus bed frame that moves up and down similarly to the hospital beds I was used to because I can't move up and down as normally without feeling pain or being at risk of re-breaking something. He's also been cooking for me, and for my visiting family, helping me clean up, assisting with daily tasks, and has made it clear he doesn't expect me to lift a finger and only wants me to focus on healing. He's even told me how he's going to halt his plans on expanding his side business so that he can spend more time tending to me during my recovery. With this said, I've seen a lot of comments saying I should leave him or even sue him, calling him arrogant or careless. I understand those reactions. But looking back, I would have to admit that this was an honest mistake that anyone could make at any time of the day at any point of time. A bad mistake. Yes. But nonetheless simple human error at the end of the day. I'm just angry that it's happened to me, but that is something I will have to work through on my own. With the, I don't know, reply that he had given me a week earlier, I will admit that he may have been still experiencing shock or trauma and his mind seemed to have been drawing a blank when I had asked him because I asked him the same question again today, why didn't you stop when I told you to? He told me he thought the gap between us and the oncoming car was big enough to make it, he didn't realize how close it actually was. He also said he didn't hear me say, stop, until it was too late, at which point, we were already hit. I told him I said it much earlier, and he admitted he just didn't hear me. He feels horrible. He's told me that every time he approaches a yellow light while driving now, he reminds himself of what happened and how stupid he feels for not being more careful that night. I'm not excusing what happened, it was traumatic, but I do believe he's learning from it and taking accountability for everything as best as he can. I'm just the angry bitter one that is needing to work through my emotions and grief that I'm experiencing because of the accident. That said, I've resumed individual therapy, weekly now instead of monthly, and I had my first session since the accident as of yesterday and my fiancé and I will be attending couples counseling together. Yes, I plan on staying with him. I know a lot of you are coming from a place of concern and care, and I truly appreciate that. At the same time, I want to gently remind everyone that I'm a real person going through a very real and painful experience. What I shared was raw and vulnerable, not a call to be judged or attacked. It's okay to disagree with how I'm choosing to move forward, but please remember I'm the one living this day by day. Healing, both physical and emotional, isn't linear, and I'm doing the best I can. Thank you again for the overwhelming response. I'm reading as many comments as I can, even if I can't reply to everyone. Please continue to take care of yourselves and those you love. Hold anyone you care about closely to you because when you least expect it, life can change in an instant. Relevant comments. Commenter, not here to pass judgment on you or your fiancé, but wanted to ask one question I don't think I've seen. How has his son been since the accident? Obviously physically unharmed, but has anything changed you've observed from him seeing you undergo all this pain and rehab or possibly seeing his dad suffer any panic attacks? Hope all is well with you and your family, sending nothing but positive vibes. Reply, his son only has seen me at the wreck and hasn't seen me since, not at the hospital, not at their rehab center, and not back at home. He lives with his mother. He has asked if I'm okay and I did get to speak on the phone with him briefly. For him personally, he had one nightmare and was worried about me for a few days in the first few days lost wreck, but since then, my understanding is that he's back to his bubbly self and is enjoying the extra attention from friends and family members as they are giving him surprise gifts and taking him out to his favorite restaurant. Stories number 2. Aita for not wanting to invite my best friend and his wife to my wedding after they hid theirs from me. I'm 29F. My partner and I are planning to get married soon. My childhood best friend, more like a brother, he is like my family, had always been a constant in my life. Over the years, he had several relationships, and I was always there for him without judgment. In December 2023, a close friend of mine from another country came to visit India. I introduced her to him casually. They hooked up soon after, and from what I was told, it was nothing serious. They became serious. They got engaged secretly and eventually married in Bali last fall. I wasn't aware about it. In fact, no one from his family was even there. I found out because his mom, who was in shock, called me crying. She said her son had told them he was going on vacation, and then suddenly, he was married. She even asked me to be there while confronting him, but I was too stunned and emotionally drained to get involved. Meanwhile, I had always been open with them, sharing details about my own life and relationship, never once suspecting they were hiding such huge milestones. After their wedding, they started contacting me with their marital problems, hoping I could play mediator. I tried twice. I also told them I was hurt they kept everything from me. They apologized and said they wanted to keep things private, even though everyone from her side of the family was there, thanked me for introducing them. Apparently, her family feels conscious around people from my country, so they decided not to invite anyone. I accepted their apology, but emotionally, something had shifted. Then, on my 29th birthday, they both forgot to wish me, not that I was expecting much. But what really hit me was that they called me on that very day to ask for help resolving an argument. About food. That's when I realized how little they respected my time, or maybe even me. I told them, kindly but firmly, that I have my own life and don't want to be bothered with their trivial issues. After that, we didn't speak. Until 3 days ago when they both called, crying, saying they realized how selfish they'd been and how much they missed me. They asked if we could reconnect when they're in India next. I just told them I was busy and left it at that. Now here's the thing, I'm planning my wedding. And a part of me feels no desire to tell them at all. Not out of spite, but because I finally understand the value of emotional boundaries. They made a deliberate choice to exclude me from the most important moment in their lives. Why should I feel guilty about doing the same? Still, I'm human and there's a little guilt creeping in. They cried. They apologized, but Aita for not wanting to tell them about my wedding? Or is it just me finally choosing myself after years of one-sided loyalty? TLDR, I introduced my childhood best friend, like a brother, to my friend from another country. They hooked up, secretly got serious, engaged, and married in Bali without informing me or even his own family. I found out from his mom, who was heartbroken. Later, they started calling me for help with their marital problems, even on my birthday, which they forgot. They recently apologized and asked to reconnect. Now that I'm planning my own wedding, I'm thinking of not informing them at all. Feeling a bit guilty, Aita for choosing peace and not including them. Stories number 3. Aita, my dad crashed my car and my parents won't let me use theirs. I, 21M, have been living at my parents' house due to recent life events. We have a pretty good relationship, but of course we have our moments. Well, about a week ago, my mom was at work and my dad needed to run by the store. He couldn't wait until mom got back, so he asked to borrow my car. I agreed to let him have it as I didn't have anything Jay needed to do right then. Well, about 40 minutes later I get a call from him saying he had been in an accident. Of course that scared the shit out of me and I made sure he was okay first. He said he was fine and explained the accident. Long story short, he ran a stop sign and smacked straight ahead into another vehicle. Luckily, no one got seriously injured. Except my car. It's busted up pretty bad. Without going into much detail, the bumper, headlights, hood, and parts of the engine are messed up. I got my car in the shop and I'm still waiting on the estimated time it will take for me to get it back. Until then though, I need a car to get to and from work. And that's where the problem is. See, me and my mom have different work schedules but similar enough to where I could see us working something out. She usually goes in an hour earlier than me and gets off about 30 minutes before me. I figured I could drop her off, go to work, then pick her up. Well, my mom hates that idea. She says that she doesn't want to have to rely on me to pick her up or get her to work on time. She said since she wasn't involved in the accident she shouldn't be affected by the consequences. I told her it would just be until I got my car back, but she didn't care. I was expecting Dad to back me up, seeing as he's the reason I got into this mess. But instead he just agreed with her and said I should find a different way. The problem is, there is no different way. There's no good public transportation system in our town and we live about 45 minutes away from where I work. My dad then suggested I bike to work, which I quickly shut down. I'd rather not have to bike all the way to and from work every day when we could literally just share a car. I told them it was unfair for them not to let me use their car since Dad crashed mine. Then they said I was just being ungrateful as they were already putting a roof over my head and I shouldn't expect much more from them. I have no idea where they even thought I was being ungrateful. All I'm saying is, why would I choose a harder, more time-consuming way to work when there is an easier option? Am I being unreasonable? I feel like at the least Dad could convince Mom to let me use their car since this is his fault. But instead, he's just sitting there agreeing with everything she says. I would ask my siblings to chime in on this, but knowing them they'll just agree with my parents. So Aita, TLDR, my dad crashed my car. It's in the shop for I don't know how long. I need a way to get to and from work. My mom is refusing to let me use their car. First updated. Aita, my parents kicked me out the house with no warning. For a little backstory, I've, 21M, had been living with my parents due to some recent life events. About a month ago I made a post here talking about how my dad crashed my car and my mom refused to let me use theirs for my commute to work. Long story short, my parents ended up paying for the expenses to have my car fixed. We did also end up sharing a car until I had mine's back. After that I thought it was done and over. My mom made a comment about it here and there, but it didn't seem to seriously bother her. Until about a week and a half ago. She demanded that I pay them all the money from my car expenses back. She said it wasn't fair, she lost money to an accident she didn't cause. And I think that's fair, but I reminded her that I didn't cause it either. Dad caused the accident and I told her I'm sorry that it ended up affecting her as well. But that didn't change the fact my car had to be fixed and it was Dad's responsibility. She got really mad at that and started on a rant about how it was unfair and I was using them for money. And what was my dad's response to all this? He just agreed with her. I ended up just telling her what I've already said because there was honestly nothing else to say. She's been very upset with me since then. But she never mentioned any possibility of kicking me out. So imagine my surprise a couple days ago when I came home to all of my stuff being outside of the house in boxes. Literally on the curb. I was honestly shocked and mad about this and I immediately went in the house to question my parents about this. My mom said that she was tired of letting someone so ungrateful live in her house. My dad just repeated what my mom said but in a kinder way because I guess he thought she was being harsh. I couldn't believe it. I asked her to explain how I have been being ungrateful and she responded by basically saying we raised you. We went back and forth for a bit and we were both pretty mad at each other. Then my mom told me to leave the house or else she would call the police on me. I have no idea if anything actually would have come of that situation. But at that point I was so confused and angry that I just went outside and called around to find someone I was able to stay with. I ended up sleeping at a friend's house. It's been a couple days now and siblings have both been calling me. I guess my parents must have told them what happened. I'm assuming it was specifically my mom bad talking me to them. My sister agrees with my mom and says I should have just paid the money back. My brother agrees that it was unfair for them to kick me out, but also says I should have just paid the money back. My dad has also been trying to reach me, but honestly I've just been too mad to pick up the phone for him. I'm just so shocked by the whole situation. I wouldn't say me and my parents' relationship has always been easy street, but it's never been this bad. I honestly thought we were good until all this. The worst part is I was planning to move out and rent an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in 2 months. My parents knew that and still decided to do this. I'm just so confused and I don't understand where they're coming from. I get they raised me and took care of me and all that, but I just feel like that doesn't give them the right to do this all of a sudden. I don't think I did anything wrong. So honestly, Ada, in this situation. Second update. Ada, my parents kicked me out without warning. Some things have happened since my last post. I calmed down a bit and decided to finally answer one of my dad's calls. He started talking about how afraid he was that I was never going to talk to them again. Then he said that things weren't supposed to go that way the other day and apologized for Mom putting my stuff outside. Apparently the plan was to talk to me about it first, but he said Mom got caught up in her emotions. When I asked why he didn't step in, he said it was because he didn't want to upset her anymore. I didn't really want to accept that excuse, but I took it so we could move forward. That was until I got another call from my brother. Mom's been absolutely shit talking me to him and my sister. Apparently she kept comparing me to them and how good they're doing, mind you they're both older than me by several years. Then she went on a rant about how much harder it's been to raise me compared to them. At one point he says she even insinuated that I was a mistake. Though he says to take that with a grain of salt as she didn't outright say it. My brother was uncomfortable with listening to her talk about me so harshly and he decided to call and tell me. I'm feeling a mix of emotions about all this right now. Part of me is still mad about the whole suddenly kicking me out thing. But I'm mostly just sad about it all. Knowing that my mom is saying all this stuff behind my back only makes me think she really means it. And whether she outright said it or not, hearing that she thinks I'm a mistake honestly crushed my soul. I don't understand why still, but I guess she has her reasons. I don't really want to talk to her again, but I do really want to know the truth of why she feels this way about me. I'm not sure about Dad yet. I'm not the type to cut people off, and having to do it to one person is already too much for me. I'm still staying with my friend as of now until I figure out what I'm doing. I guess I'll see how it goes from here. TLDR, my dad called and apologized. My mom told my siblings I was a mistake while shit-talking me. I'm still trying to figure things out. Stories number 4. Aita for planning on leaving him without a warning because I no longer have the energy to talk. I'm F26, leaving him, Mike M31, tomorrow. I'm tired of taking crap from his family while he won't lift a finger to at least stand up for me. His sister has a strong personality that she has used in every way possible to destroy her own marriages. I'll call her Darla, F37. She's articulate, learned a trade and is very outspoken. She could be out there making a living, but she chose to be a som, no job, fighting her ex for child support and using her sharp tongue to insult people. She complains about being short of cash but turns away working opportunities. You can't say anything without being worried that she will think it's about her, and she doesn't respect other people's opinions. For example, she had a major crisis 2 years ago when her ex left her. She was triggered and alternated from tears to rage. Their mom asked me for advice in terms of what to do because they were contemplating sending her to a mental clinic, but she refused. I said maybe she could use a distraction to help ease her pain. I said maybe getting a part-time job could bring her back to herself, and if she liked it, it would help her keep her mind off what was happening. Days later, Darla decided that I was the enemy, that I had insulted her and that I implied that she was crazy and the root of her mental breakdown was her being jobless, Mike's words. She also decided that I shouldn't talk to their youngest brother, Tim M30, and I both became her foe and lost Tim, we were friends, in the same week. Mike supported her and told me that Tim and I shouldn't talk so much, because it was weird. Tim and I were very good friends and his wife was almost always included in our interactions. The whole thing left me feeling embarrassed and like I'd done something dirty. I'm sick of having to deal with Mike's attitude every time he visits his family. Our last big argument took place after he came back calling me controlling and, because I asked him to stop drinking because he gets belligerent and has said very hurtful things, and a liar, when my arrhythmia got triggered after a huge argument and I asked him to leave me alone because I wasn't feeling well due to anxiety. We've been living together, I don't have a lot of things to take with me, but I paid half of everything and paid for groceries in full and for the electricity bill. No matter how much I contributed, I wasn't treated like an equal, and his mother told me that no matter who or what happens, her son is clear about his main priorities. After this, I got the ick and decided to leave him. I've been sleeping in the guest room for 3 months. He has tried to initiate sex. I treat him politely, but I already lost my impulse to save our relationship. I'm sad but looking forward to ending this. I found a new place and will move out after he goes out for his morning workout. I already removed my documents and other important stuff, and whatever I keep at his place fits into my car. I'm planning on letting him know after I'm gone, but I never thought it would come to this and I'm a bit concerned. Not that I'm trying to justify or protect him, but I know it will be a blow to his ego and I don't want to trigger his emotional imbalances. I'm mentioning this because I've seen how he gets when his friends brush him off. Also, his best friend cut him off and he got depressed, and a friend he was going to try and start a business with ended things, and Mike was a little scared because he stopped eating and spent all of his free time in bed. I don't see anything that could be said to fix our relationship. I don't have a lease agreement, I just transferred him the money every month. My best friend says he deserves getting dumped, but sneaking out like that is horrible. Aita. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, it is not horrible. It is protecting yourself, emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially. Make sure you log out of anything in his place. Change all your passwords, even if you believe he has never had access to them. Change every single one of them. Consider talking to your bank about changing your account numbers, getting new debit and credit card numbers also. Yes, I am sometimes paranoid. Notify the utilities you moved and get the service at his place out of your name. Put in a change of address with the post office and directly with things like your health insurance carrier and job. Don't let him guilt and manipulate you into feeling responsible for his feelings. He has shown you who he really is, believe him. You are NTA. Reply, I wanted to say thank you. Your advice was very helpful. Commenter 2, if you tell him, you'll just end up in a big argument and neither one will be in good shape later. Especially if things get thrown or broken. Better to avoid what upset you can. Reply, this is exactly what happened but over the phone, after I left. Commenter 3, NTA, leaving without warning is not horrible, it's a liberating release from emotional captivity. You're saying, I'm done being the martyr, I deserve better than this toxic situation. That's a message we should all send to our own family members and partners whenever possible. Here's to you, may your new life bring peace, happiness, and respect. Commenter 4, I know it will be a blow to his ego and I don't want to trigger his emotional imbalances. This is no longer your problem. It should never have been your problem. Sneaking out is absolutely the safest way for a woman to leave. Good luck. NTA. Commenter 5, first, stop worrying about him. Clearly he has a family and they can look after him. Second, you must leave him in the way that is safest for you. From what you've said, he likes to blame you, he likes to browbeat and yell at you, he likes to at least verbally attack you, and frankly with you leaving, he could become violent. You need to leave and not tell him where you are. You can leave him a note if you like, but don't do anything that will be dangerous to you. Don't put him first. You are the only one who is going to look out for you and that's what you need to do. Get out, and get safe. Contact friends or anybody who can help you. Stay away from him. Best of luck. Be safe. NTA. Update. Thanks for the advice and tips. I changed my mailing address as soon as I found a new place. I hardly got any sleep because I was very anxious. Last night, he tried to initiate sex by coming into my room. Thankfully, I hadn't packed anything, kept all the unassembled boxes in my closet, so he didn't catch a glimpse of anything looking off. I did keep most of my things in that room and built a list of items around his place that I needed to load into my car. Also, I took my phone to the IT booth to check for trackers, same for my car. Nothing, which was a relief. He left this morning so I immediately packed the boxes and my suitcases and took the rest of my belongings. I texted him about my decision once I was out and he called me immediately. He didn't take it well. He accused me of being selfish, using his family as an excuse and sexually devalued me by calling me a cold fish for not wanting to have sex with him. Also, he had moments in which he apologized and begged me to reconsider but switched back to hostility. After almost half an hour of back and forth, I hung up because he was making me both nervous and angry and I can't afford to allow this to affect my health. I blocked everyone in his family but I'll be changing my number. I've also blocked them from my social media. I'm exhausted because my condition causes fatigue if I don't rest properly for extended periods of time. For now, I'll be focusing on other things to avoid thinking too much. I'm not interested in dating because this has left me feeling very negative towards relationships. Thanks again. Top comments. Commenter 1, glad you are safe. Take care of yourself. Good luck. Commenter 2, congratulations on taking this step. Be proud of yourself, this Redditor is. Whenever the cold fish comment gets stuck in your head, remember you are not a cold fish, he was a total turnoff. Best wishes on this new chapter. Commenter 3, a word of warning, now that you've gotten out and are safe, do not, under any circumstances, meet him alone to give him closure. He's a big boy, he can deal with his feelings on his own, it may literally be not safe for you to see him again. Do not respond to him at all. You're doing great. Commenter 4, NTA. It sounds like you made the best decision for your health and well-being. You gave him plenty of chances to respect your boundaries, and it's clear he wasn't willing to do that. You're not responsible for his reactions, especially when he's trying to manipulate and guilt-trip you into staying in a toxic situation. Prioritizing your mental and physical health is always the right choice. It takes a lot of strength to walk away, and I hope you find peace and healing as you focus on yourself now. Stories number 5. Aita for telling my girlfriend not to join me on vacation because of her financial situation. I, 26M, have been dating my girlfriend, 25F, for almost a year. Soon, I'll be traveling to Las Vegas for a work event. My company is covering my round-trip international flight and expenses during the event. After that, I'm planning to use my vacation days to spend some time in Florida. That part will be paid out of my own pocket, domestic flight, accommodation, food, etc. My girlfriend wants to join me in Florida, but she's not in a good financial situation. I just received my annual bonus, which is just enough to cover my own travel plans. She doesn't have the money and suggested asking her dad to help cover the trip. Here's the thing, I know her family is struggling. They don't have a car, there's often a lack of basic groceries at home, no proper shower stall, no curtains, things like that. So it really doesn't sit right with me that she'd ask her dad for money to go on vacation while those basic needs are unmet. I'd love to travel with her someday, but I feel like this just isn't the right moment. I'm worried she'll take it personally or think I don't want her there. But to me, encouraging her to spend, or borrow, money for this trip feels irresponsible. Aita for thinking she shouldn't come and should use the money for more important things. Stories number 6. Aita for telling my husband his mom can't live with us for months-long stretches. My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years and our son is 10 months old. We live in Canada. I grew up here while my husband immigrated when he was a student. My parents live nearby, which has been invaluable during my pregnancy and since. My mom comes over regularly to help us out. My husband and her are on good terms too, so it's been going well. His parents live in another country. We have visited them once since we got married, that was 7 months ago. The time prior to that was our wedding itself, which took place there. My husband had been talking about my MIL visiting soon for a long visit, which I was happy with. We recently moved into our new house. I've done a good job decorating it. We have a large guest room, and I was looking forward to hosting her, especially since it would make my husband happy. A couple of days ago he was complaining about how detailed her visa application was. I told him I was surprised it was so thorough. He told me that it's because while regular visa forms allow a stay of 6 months max, this one allows 2 years. I asked why would she need a stay of more than 6 months. He said that she had been thinking of winding up her medical practice and basically retiring, and this would then allow her to stay for a longer visit if we all decide that it works. I was stunned. I told him he should just do the regular app because his mom won't be staying for anywhere close to 6 months. I had it in my mind that she'd be staying for like a month. That's how long we stayed for when we went there. He said that's his mom. She tells him how alone she feels. She can't go to my BLs because he lives with roommates, and we can't just put a timer on her visit here. He said she's been looking forward to helping us out with our son. I told him we don't need help, we manage fine on our own and with my mom's help. I wanted to host his mom as a guest, not as a part of our household. He complained that how was it fair that my parents could visit whenever they wanted while his can't. I was hurt by that because my parents have helped us out a lot, and I asked him if he wants us to limit how often my mom comes to visit. He said no, that's not what he meant, that he likes her but it wasn't fair to his parents. My reply was that when my mom comes, she goes at the end of the day. That wouldn't be the case with his. I ended it by saying he should look into the easier regular form because she can't be thinking of staying for that long. He chose to sleep on the couch that night and has been cold with me since. I hate that. We've never been cold to each other like this. I talked to my mom too. She said that having his mom live with us for long stretches would definitely affect me. That this is worth fighting for. I haven't seen him working on the application since. Last night he went out when his mom called. When he came back I asked him how she took it. He told me he had told her he's looking into what application best suits her. He asked me if I'd changed my mind. I said no. He just shook his head and started watching TV. Aita, relevant comments. Editor's note, OOP also posted on the other sub with the same post. I am adding comments from that post for more context. Commenter 1, NTA. Was he planning to move his mother in your home for 2 years going on forever without even having a conversation about it? Reply, he said that he was doing the 2-year application just so we have options once she's here, and said it'll be a collective decision. I told him there's no need, I have my decision already, I will not be okay with anything more than a couple of months, even that's pushing it in my mind, let alone more than 6 months. That's actually where I thought I may have been the he was talking about options and I kind of just shut him down. Commenter 2, NTA. It sounds like they planned on her fully just moving in with you. It's likely that after she was there and established, that she simply would not leave. This is definitely a hill to die on. You will end up with her living with you indefinitely if you don't put a time limit on it. 1 month is quite reasonable. Tell your husband that if she would like to live closer to you guys, you can help her find affordable housing, and then she could be equally as involved as your parents are. It would mess up your family dynamics as well as your marriage, and I doubt that your parenting styles will be the same. Her moving in for more than a month will be the death of your marriage. Reply: a lot of comments have said that we can help her get an apartment. I don't think that's a good idea. There's going to be a language barrier, she won't be able to drive, there's a lot of reasons that won't work. I am very sure that if we go down that route she will end up being a guest in our house very soon after. Commenter 3, consider offering to work with the month-long stay as a test to see how you blend. Tell your husband it's 1 month for the first visit, period. You'll both want to see how it feels for that first visit to have her there, then how it feels once she's gone again. Was the visit pleasant for all of you? Did you both enjoy her company and help? How overbearing was she? Did she constantly voice her opinions? Interfere in arguments? Play you against each other? Did she expect to be waited on? How was your sex life with her in the house? Did she take over the baby? Etc., etc. When she leaves, do you both breathe a sigh of relief? Do you find yourselves dreading her return or looking forward to it? Having another adult in the house, especially in such a young marriage, is a great way to ruin your physical and emotional intimacy. You can't shove mom in her bedroom so that you two can just be a couple when baby goes to sleep at night. No wandering around half naked. No spontaneous intimacy. Someone else judging your cooking, cleaning, attire, parenting, anything else you can think of. It will not be the experience he expects it to be. As for hubby saying it's not fair, that's apples to oranges. Your parents are local, his are not. There's no expectation of equal time, and there never should have been. Assuming his parents are still married, her loneliness is an issue to be addressed between her and her husband. Hubby is not responsible for her happiness. She has friends and family where she is, but must have your husband at hand. Serious red flag. She will destroy your marriage if she's living with you by inserting herself into every aspect of your relationship and guilting hubby into compliance. This is a hill to die on. Hold your ground. Normal visits, yes; anything else, no. At least not straight from the get-go. Reply: a lot of what you said has been on my mind too. Like the big picture changes are daunting in themselves, but the small changes, like having to be more discreet with our intimacy, also seem suffocating. Regarding your idea of suggesting 1 month, I honestly already know I won't be able to deal with more than that. Would putting it out there just to say no again later be an move? Commenter 4, NTA. I read long stay and I thought 2 weeks, not 1 month. He complained that how was it fair that my parents could visit whenever they wanted while his can't. This is where the problem is. He thinks your parents living in the same area is the same as his mother living in your house. These are not equivalent situations. You should ask him how he would feel if your parents moved into the spare room for 2 months. If she is already feeling lonely, how is she going to feel after retiring and spending up to 6 months in another country? What is her plan for when she returns? It almost sounds like he wants her to permanently move in with you. Have you discussed that in the past? Is that an expectation in their culture? Reply: no, we have never discussed her or his dad moving in. Honestly, some of my extended family in Pakistan do have this arrangement where families live together, but this was never something that was on the cards for us because his parents are well established there. Commenter 5, I'm curious OP, you say, his parents, but only talk about his mom and you say she's lonely. Is his dad still alive? Are they still together? If she stays for a year, will dad eventually come too? Reply: yeah, my FIL is alive, and yes, they're together. I don't think he has plans for coming for a long stay like her, maybe shorter ones. Update 1. Thank you for the feedback in the original post. Yesterday when he came back from work I tried to start the conversation again. He had been giving me the cold shoulder since all this started. I told him I'm his wife of 2 years and the mother of his child, this isn't how we're going to communicate. We started talking after that. I held my ground that his mom staying with us for so long wasn't tenable. If she wanted to visit Canada for longer than a couple of months, she would have to live in her own apartment, learn how to drive, or use public transport. She's used to being driven by a hired driver in Pakistan, and a whole bunch of other changes that she'd need to get used to. That I don't see myself changing my mind on this, so he needs to be honest with her and himself and not go down the "we'll keep our options open" route. He said that he knows her living with us for an extended stay would require some changes on our part, but he was asking me to do this as a favor to him, that I claim to love him, and yet can't do him this favor for his mom. I actually started sobbing when he said this. It was so hurtful that he was using this as a litmus test for our love. I said her being around for years would ruin our parenthood with our first child, that I want us to raise our child the way we see fit, not his mom. Also, all the intimate moments we have, our sex life, everything would suffer. My parents are Pakistani too, I know this will happen. He again asked me to just not shut the door completely, that he'll tell his mom the stay can only be for a month or so, and I can let him know if I think the change wasn't too much. And we landed on a compromise that for now they'll do the regular visa app that only allows a max stay of 6 months. If I changed my mind, he'll do the super visa. He then had a long call with his mom, which his older sister also joined. It actually lasted an hour and a half. He was in the backyard for the call and came back in to grab a chair. It was that long. Also, from what I could see he was mostly listening for that convo. When he came back in, he told me to just not answer any calls or messages from his mom or sister. Meanwhile I've received like 4 missed calls and 20 messages from them, mostly Islamic quotes about the rights of parents. I've told them that I can't talk right now since I'm busy with my son right now. I asked him how it went, he said as well as he expected. But he's not giving me the cold shoulder anymore. I do feel guilty because like I said I was actually looking forward to host her for a month, and I think this whole thing may have caused irreparable damage not just to my relationship with my MIL and SIL, but my husband's relationship with his mom and sister. I've told my MIL I'll call her back in a couple of hours, once my husband's back. I'm dreading that conversation but I know what my boundaries are. Thank you for the feedback, it helped. Edit. Also, one thing that I had to clarify a few times last post. A lot of people were like, this is what happens when you marry outside your culture. My husband and I are both of Pakistani descent. Just that I was born here, while he immigrated here as a student. But he's been here for like a decade now too. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, she is not your son's parent and has 0 rights to him. Reply, I think those Islamic quotes were about their rights as parents to my husband's, and by extension mine, hospitality and care. Which I mean I get it, but I don't know if this is how those principles were supposed to be applied. Definitely not going to get into a religious debate with her. Commenter 2, good for you OP. Do not go on that call with your MIL by yourself. Your husband must be on that call and he better not cave to what she wants. Reply, oh. I was just going to stick with the 1-month-ish plan in the call. Why do you think I shouldn't talk to her alone? Just asking because I was considering getting this all done with before he comes home. Commenter 2, I agree to stick with the 1-month plan, but it doesn't sound like she's happy with you. I think it's best to have your husband on the call so A, he knows everything she says to you, B, so it doesn't seem like you're the bad guy refusing to let her stay indefinitely and that your husband is also on board with it, and C, so he can do the work of holding the line with his mother and show that he is able to stick up for you. Maybe it'll be fine, but I can just picture MIL saying nasty things to you and then telling your husband she didn't say them and that you're overreacting. It's his side of the family and it should be his job to mediate. Reply, yeah, I think I'm going to wait and do this with him. Thank you for the advice. Update 2, I'm not sure how these updates work. I had edited it over there too, but someone had PM'd me saying an update needs to be a separate post rather than edit. This is just for those people who had given me a lot of great advice on holding the line and had asked for an update to my phone call with my MIL. I spoke to my MIL. Since her missed calls and text messages were asking me to call her, I figured I should be the one to call, not my husband. But I put my phone on speaker, so that my husband who was lying on the couch could also hear it. She said that my husband had told her he thought it'd be best if she restricts her trip to 1 month, since it was her first time in Canada, and because we were really busy with my son. She said that ever since my husband had gone to Canada as an 18-year-old, he'd always wanted her to visit for a long duration, and now all of a sudden he was asking her to restrict it when she wanted to help with her grandson, and said she knew I must be the reason why. I said it was a joint decision because of the circumstances, but she wouldn't hear of it. She said if her visiting for more than a month was so outrageous to us, then that's fine, she'll limit her stay, but I should know that in Pakistan in-laws live in the same house with the married couple, like my SIL does, and that she had thought I was in touch with my Islamic and Pakistani roots when I was getting married because that's what my husband had told her, but she was disappointed at how whitewashed I was. At this point my husband asked me to give him the phone, but not before I told her that I was totally comfortable with how in tune with my heritage I was, and that apparently so was her son. Told her my husband had just come and handed him the phone. My husband went in the yard to talk, but I was so angry I decided to eavesdrop. He was talking to both my MIL and FIL. He told them that he hadn't fled to Canada in the middle of the night as a student, they both had seen him off at the airport. And that when he had introduced me, hadn't kept the fact that I was born and raised in Canada a secret either. That they can't expect to treat us like a couple in Pakistan. Then he listened a whole lot for like half an hour, I gave him a chair again, and kept telling them that it's different now. They ended the call with him saying that we were both really looking forward to her visit, that we'll make sure it's a great 30 or so days, with us and her grandson. He apologized to me on behalf of his mom, and asked me to please let her lecture go and still be on board with the 1-month plan. I'm looking forward to it much less than I was, but I said fine. Thanks a lot again for the advice. Along with my mother I was able to get good advice from here too, and I think I've managed to resolve this issue. I know myself, I know my MIL staying over for years wasn't something I could deal with, and knowing a lot of people agreed was really helpful. Relevant comments. What happens if MIL tries to stay longer than a month? Reply, I honestly don't know. She said she'll visit for a month but was really upset about the fact that she had to. I'm just going to assume everyone keeps to their word for now. It's Ramadan, and Eid soon as well, our first Eid with our son, to look forward to. I don't want to think about what happens if she decides to stay longer. OOP should have her mom over and help deal with MIL if she tries to pull something from OOP. Reply, my parents will be hosting her for dinner and all off course. After hearing about everything that happened, my mom thinks she should come around too. I'm just conflicted if seeing my mom coming around so easily would reinforce my MIL's sense of injustice. My mom left that decision to me, she told me she'll be 5 minutes away whenever I need her. Commenter 1, you and your husband will still need to set boundaries. You know she blames you for the fact that she's not getting what she wants. She is already blaming you for the fact that her son is not giving in to her demands. If she's going to stay with you in your home, she needs to respect the fact that it is not just her son's home. It's your home too. It's not just your husband's son. It's your son, too. She does not get to control or judge your connection to your heritage. If she wants to be welcome in your home, she needs to treat you with respect, and she needs to avoid interfering with your marriage. Your husband needs to be fully prepared to rein her in if she puts even one toe out of line. He needs to be responsible for protecting you from any disrespect from her. Good luck, and I hope you'll be able to come back and let us know it went well. Commenter 2, I want to add to this, and I know it sounds paranoid as hell, but after all the just no-mill stories, I strongly suggest cameras in the areas that baby will be in, so it's not looked at a weird or invasive. The only reason is the passive-aggressive actions and controlling behavior. She may try to break up the marriage by saying you did something when hubby walked out of the room or something of that ilk. Keep a record of things, only if you have the energy to keep track of things. To me, this isn't just culture. This is a woman who expects full control and may try to take it however she can. Take it or leave it, but that's my suggestion. Reply, I honestly think I'm going to do this. As icky as it feels to think she would want to deliberately do something like that, her comment about me being untrue to my heritage is still ringing in my ears. Thank you for the suggestion. I thought about this more overnight. About what my boundaries' consequences are. First of all, I'm going to let my husband know it's not going to be a month or so. A lot of comments said that leaves it open-ended. It's just going to be a month. My parents' place is 5 minutes away. I'm going to need her to be out by 11:59 p.m. on day 31, or my son and I will be at my parents' by 12:05. She keeps saying she wants to help with my son, but I'm not going to let that take away at all from my bonding time with him. If I at all feel uncomfortable or suffocated during her visit, I'll go with my son to my parents' house until I feel I can come back. Also, the rules regarding intimacy won't be the way they were when we visited Pakistan. In Pakistan it would have been scandalous for my husband and I to give each other a kiss or cuddle in front of a TV if my in-laws were there. But I'm not going to have those rules imposed on us while she's at our house. I don't know if these boundaries seem petty, but after her remarks yesterday I've soured on her quite a bit. Update 3. After I had updated here last time, I was fully committed to graciously hosting my MIL for 31 days, and not a day more. Since then we had one unpleasant exchange on Eid a few days ago. I had posted about it on the subreddit regarding MIL issues. This is what I had posted. My MIL is going to be visiting near the end of April for a month. For context, we live in Canada, I was born here, my husband immigrated a decade ago, we got married 2 years ago, and our son is 10 months old. My in-laws live in Pakistan, my parents moved to Canada from Pakistan a year before I was born. My MIL had initially planned on staying longer, but I had put my foot down and told my husband I couldn't deal with someone living with us for longer than a month, so she's had to cut short her plan and didn't take that wheel. I had actually posted about this somewhere else previously, and had been PM'd to take a look at this subreddit. I had made my peace with the 1-month stay and was fully planning on being cordial during it. Yesterday, we had celebrated Eid at my parents' house. It was our first Eid with our son, and we were all so happy about it, getting to dress him in his cute little traditional kurta shalwar. I sent her some pictures of the event because she always asks us to send her pictures. Her reply was not what I expected. She started lamenting how far we were from them, and said that this is the problem with marrying someone not from Pakistan, that the parents suffer as a result, how unfair it is that my parents get her son and grandson to themselves. My heart literally shrank reading it. I knew she missed us, but to hear her say she essentially regrets our marriage was so hurtful. I just left her on read. I showed it to my husband, he sincerely apologized and thanked me for not responding to her. I have to host her for a month. How am I supposed to do that now? I would have normally asked my mom for advice on this stuff since she's more well acquainted with dealing with someone from Pakistan, but I actually feel she'll lose it at my MIL when she visits if I share this with her. I just wanted some advice, and partly wanted to vent. I'm trying to compartmentalize this because we're still celebrating Eid today with some friends and I don't want this to bring me down. Any advice would be appreciated. Today's update. Today, my husband told me that her visa application had been rejected. They're applying for the notes regarding the decision, but according to him it's futile, that it was always a 50-50 shot, that the most common reason for rejections is having insufficient ties back home which makes them think the applicant won't go back, that he had thought having my FIL remain there would have fixed that, but apparently not. I'm NGL, it's like a huge weight has been lifted off me. I'm trying to act disappointed but I was dreading her visit. He said she was inconsolable when he spoke to her earlier, that she had asked him to look into us moving to Pakistan. I love Pakistan but never going to happen. When he shut that down, she gave him his uncle's number who lives in the UAE for job lead so we could move to the UAE, again, I'm sure it's a great place but no, so that we could be a 2-hour flight away from them and have our family grow in an Islamic environment. He told her it's going to be difficult but agreed to talk to him. I was a bit angry about this. I told him there's no way we're moving to the UAE, he said of course we're not, we've built a life here, he has a great career here, but he didn't want to completely shut down his mom. I personally disagree with that, I think she deserves the truth but whatever. I'm going to talk to her to commiserate tomorrow. It's too late in Pakistan now, because again, while I was no longer looking forward to hosting her, I was fully committed to doing so. Unfortunately this does mean that most of our family vacations will have to be in Pakistan now since they can't visit us here. We already need to go there in December because they're planning to have his brother's wedding done then. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice here. It sucks that we have all this bad blood now for no reason, like I'm sure she hates me now, and while I've tried very hard to forget what she said about my upbringing and heritage, I can't, and I see her in a whole new light now. I'm going to be comforting to my husband about this, but maybe it was for the best. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, this must be so difficult for you. As you said your MIL has bred bad animosity unnecessarily but I think a possible band-aid could be a 2-3 week vacation once per year or so to Pakistan so she can meet her grandson. You could possibly sync your visit with a minor Islamic holiday so she can experience a holiday with him physically there. Just a compromise up to team. Reply, yeah, that's going to be the plan now. A couple of weeks vacation in Pakistan is great, but I'm just concerned my husband would want all our vacations to be there now. Like I want us to have vacations, just our family, somewhere else too. But that's for later, at least this problem is sorted, I'm so relieved. Commenter 2, instead of every vacation being in Pakistan, consider planning some holidays to meet ILs in some other location to which they can travel. Reply, that's such a great idea. I'll bring it up for sure when the time comes. Thank you. OOP clarifies on her family's passports and citizenships. Reply, my son and I are only Canadians, my husband is a dual citizen. And I'm going to have my son's documents with me at all times and the Canadian consulate's number saved. I hate thinking about it but I'm not taking any risks when it comes to him. Commenter 3, according to good old Google/Wikipedia on Pakistani citizenship, children born overseas are automatically Pakistani citizens by descent if either parent is a citizen. If I were you, I would be very wary about a trip to Pakistan. Reply, what? Why? But we specifically didn't apply for his niqab when he was born, so the last time we visited, him and I had Pakistani visas issued on our Canadian passports while my husband didn't need it. God, this is so annoying, but thanks so much, I'll talk to my husband about this and look into this. I thought since we didn't apply for his niqab he never became a Pakistani citizen but if it's just forced on him, I'll look into this. Maybe there's a way of cancelling it since I don't want there to be any ambiguity about which government is supposed to be responsible for him. I'll also see if him being a citizen would affect things if we visited. We have like 8 months to deal with this though, so we can take our time with this, but still so annoying. Thank you so much. I called the Pakistani consulate, and told them our situation and asked if my son was a Pakistani citizen and they literally said he could be. I was like what does that even mean, is he or is he not, and he said you need to contact the Pakistani government office. But like that's what I'm doing right now, you're the government office. Some lady then came on and said he's technically a citizen but because we didn't make his niqab he requires a visa, but he's technically a citizen per Pakistani law. And then I realized wait, I was born to Pakistani parents, and asked her about my own situation and she said I'd be one too. Like what? There is a renunciation process too. I'm going to ask my parents about this. They never made my niqab, so I think they also assumed that meant I was never a Pakistani citizen. I'll look into this further. Glad I learned all this now. Just wanted to thank you again for this. Not only is my son a Pakistani citizen but I've been one this entire time too according to the lady in the Pakistani consulate. Thanks for bringing this up. OP should keep her family's passports with her all the times and not let her MIL have them. Reply, I plan on keeping our passports with me at all times and having the Canadian consulate's number saved on my phone. Our December visit is going to be for my BL's wedding, so hopefully she'll be too busy/happy to be bitter. My son and I are only Canadians, my husband is a dual citizen. And I'm going to have my son's documents with me at all times and the Canadian consulate's number saved. I hate thinking about it but I'm not taking any risks when it comes to him. Final update. Our phone call went well for like the first 2 minutes when I expressed how sorry I was that she wouldn't be able to come, and the visa officers should have been more considerate. It went downhill soon after. She said that this probably means she'll never be able to visit Canada, and a few weeks a year isn't enough, that my parents have gotten to be close to us for 2 years, now it should be their right, and asked if my husband called his uncle about a job in the UAE, since he wasn't answering her texts. I said I don't know but it won't work anyway, we live in Canada, we've started a family here, we have a support system here, my husband has a great career here, but we will definitely have as many vacations together as possible so she could spend time with my son. She then went on about how my SIL, her daughter, has been living with her in-laws since she got married, how bad her MIL is, how lucky I was to have such loving in-laws who just want to be close to us, and I should be more grateful. I told her I'm grateful for my son, my husband, and for everything we have, told her I needed to go and ended the call before I said anything more to her while she's still down in the dumps about the visa. I texted my husband this immediately before she gets to him. He's probably not going to be happy since he wanted us to let her be comforted by the UAE idea but IDC anymore, she needs to be told that we're never moving. I'm only going to call her on important occasions now like Eid and to send pictures if my husband asks, but that's it. A sincere thank you to the visa officer who made the decision. Sorry for the repeated updates, NGL this may have been meant to be a rant too, she's just so rude now all the time, it's so unreasonable. Also, based on a comment that my son may automatically be a Pakistani citizen after all, I called the Pakistani consulate and when I explained the situation the lady there said my son is technically a Pakistani citizen. Then I asked about myself because it hit me, that my situation when I was born would have been similar to my son's, she said I was a citizen too. I'm going to be looking into how this could affect our visit before we attend my BL's wedding in December in Pakistan. Thanks again, I won't be posting anymore, this issue is done as far as I'm concerned. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, to be clear, do you and your son have Canadian citizenship/passports? Reply, yeah, all 3 of us have Canadian passports, my husband also has a Pakistani passport. Commenter 1, so you and your son would have no problem getting back into Canada. Is there any chance that your in-laws would attempt to detain your son? I think your husband is being needlessly cruel to string his mom on that him moving to UAE is on the table. It's not that hard for her to check with his uncle and find out that he's made no inquiries into working there. Reply, I'm probably going to be called an idiot, but I don't think they would do anything other than try to emotionally manipulate us. And he's pretty clear that we are not moving anywhere, he just didn't want to break it to her, which like you said is cruel in its own way. But I'm still going to check what being citizens could mean for our trip, and how I can renounce it. Quite honestly I'm no longer looking forward to it. I'd rather us just go there for the wedding night and then do our own thing anywhere else. Commenter 2, you truly intend to stay in Canada for the rest of your lives, I would suggest officially renouncing your Pakistani citizenship in favor of your Canadian citizenship. Having dual citizenship may be more of a problem than it is worth. Is your husband a Canadian citizen, or does he just have permanent residency? If you want to avoid problems with your MIL, I would make sure your child has just Canadian citizenship as well. Reply, yeah, I'm going to start the process of renouncing mine and my son's Pakistani citizenship. I don't want there to be ambiguity regarding his citizenship. Commenter 3, I am so sorry about this. Desi parents and in-laws are a completely different beast. On top of that, this perception of being Farang, it's almost like she was blaming the country of Canada before but now she can just blame you. As if that's the problem. Not to mention that plenty of people born in Pakistan choose to make their homes abroad, like your husband, who seems immune from blame. I'm glad that you have decided to take a step back from her for your own sake. You need some distance from this situation for now anyway, especially as there is nothing to resolve at the moment. Please fill your parents in on this and see what they think, mostly about your fears re-going to Pakistan. Please also speak to an immigration lawyer, maybe even a Pakistani-Canadian one, to understand your rights in Canada, and very discreetly through your family and an attorney they trust, how you should approach this on your trip to Pakistan. I think you're right revoking Pakistani citizenship. Reply, yeah, I'm not worrying about this now. December is 8 months away, I'm not stressing about it now. And limiting contact with her to important occasions only. My parents were glad for my sake about how it worked out. My mom really didn't think I would have been able to handle it, lol. I'm grateful for the advice and a lot of the other comments, but I think a lot of the advice here is assuming my husband is going to turn into some stereotype in Pakistan. If all the doomsday scenarios depend on him becoming evil, then I'm positive I don't need to stress. I trust him when he says we will never move away. But I'm still going to start the process of revoking our newly discovered Pakistani citizenship because I don't see any benefits while it might be tying us in some way to Pakistani laws, and I really don't want that. Stories number 7. Title: Aita for not staying overnight at the hospital with our 7-year-old son along with my extra wife. Our son has a bad case of pneumonia requiring a surgical procedure to drain fluid from his chest, and now he has a chest tube. The infection is pretty bad. We've been here about 8 days and he is finally starting to turn a corner. The fevers are less frequent and not as high. I have been here every day and will continue to do so. His mom, my ex-wife, is also here, but during the day she's working, remotely, and a little more distracted. A couple days ago, with our son showing some progress, I decided to leave for the night so I can get some rest. His mom will leave for about 3 hours in the late afternoon/evening to shower, change, do whatever, and when she returns I leave. At that time our son is getting ready to sleep or is sleeping. I return first thing in the morning, between 6 and 6:30 a.m. to make sure I am here for the doctor rounds or any early morning procedure such as labs or x-rays. Full transparency, my girlfriend lives nearby and I go to her house to shower, change, and get some rest in a real bed. I've offered my son's mom the same opportunity. I've told her that if she wanted to go home for the night I am more than happy to stay. However, she refuses, and today when I made the same offer she said no, she's going to stay with our son and doesn't understand how any parent can leave their child at the hospital so they can go be with their partner. Apparently she can still get in my head because here I am asking if I am the asshole for leaving my son at the hospital with his mom, my ex-wife, instead of staying the night. Should I also be staying if she's here? Typo, it is ex-wife not extra wife, although I'm glad I didn't catch it because the extra wife comments gave me a much needed laugh, thank you. Editor's note, I fixed that title in the title of this post to limit confusion. Some of OOP's comments. We both stayed for the first 5 nights. Once he was stable through the night is when I suggested shifts, gave her the opportunity to go home and get rest first. But she's declined each and every time, so I do leave once our son is asleep or just about asleep. In response to a longer comment about OOP's ex wanting to be the martyr, I didn't want to make the post making my son's mom to sound that way, but that's exactly what's going on. She complains she's tired, makes sly comments about her having to help our son pee at night, bedside because of the chest tube, but refuses to have the nurses help. She has the extra bed available in the room but insists on sleeping in his bed. Which with all the cables and tube and such I advised against it, but yes, she's the poor mom that can't leave his side. Top comment. Commenter, okay, your title typo is delightful. I was really looking forward to learning what an extra wife is, but to your question, NTA. Sounds like your ex is playing the martyr. I mean, there's nothing wrong with feeling like you can't leave your very sick child in the hospital, but there's also nothing wrong with leaving him while someone else is there so you can take care of yourself, especially since you have offered the same to her. It's just 2 different ways of responding to a crisis, so her laying a guilt trip on you for responding differently is not healthy. Update. First of all, I want to thank you all for your well wishes, it truly means a lot. We are still at the hospital but my son is doing much better. Chest tube is scheduled to come out tomorrow. He is responding well to new antibiotics, appetite is back, and fevers have been gone for over 48 hours, thank God. I continue to offer my son's mom to go home for the night but she continues to refuse. However, she is taking longer breaks during the day and it seems like she is getting some rest because she comes back looking more refreshed. Since she insists on staying, I continue to leave for a few hours at night to get some sleep. However, I am back first thing in the morning before they wake and to make sure I don't miss any procedure, labs, x-ray, CT scan or any doctor rounds, which I haven't, and I stay until my son falls asleep. His mom is better about me leaving, I think because she sees how present and involved I am in our son's care, treatment, and treatment plan. So she stopped with the petty comments, for now, or she found this thread lol. All this has taught me a valuable lesson. We hear about it all the time but this experience really made me believe it. We cannot take care of other people if we don't take care of ourselves. I feel more present and clear-headed compared to the first few nights where I was staying all night. I am a bigger guy, so the tiny bed plus the frequent nurse check-ins make it impossible to get any rest. I was miserable during the day and was running on fumes, or adrenaline, since our son was in the thick of it. Thankfully he's in a much more stable place. It really is whatever works for you. This is working for me and I am okay with it. I get be present all day with my son, stay engaged in his treatment, and he seems to know that I am here for him, as well as his mom. Side note, therapy has been good for me in learning that I needed to stop seeking validation from others and learn and work at looking for validation from within. Still working on that, and I have grown so much in that department everywhere else in my life. I learned, though, that my son's mom still knows what strings to pull to make me compromise that part of my mental well-being. Although this thread provided some validation, thank you, it was also a big reminder that the validation I truly need is within me. I know I'm doing right by my son, and I also know that I need to take care of myself so my son gets the best possible version of me. Stories number 8. My F21 boyfriend, M25, is too attached to somebody else's daughter. Is this too big a red flag? A little background on how I met the love of my life. Last Christmas, a list at the restaurant where I work got passed around. It was a list of Christmas presents for kids at an orphanage. I was heartbroken that none of the kids asked for toys. It was all shoes, blankets, and clothes. Kids were wanting just bare needs things. Then I found out that it was a regular customer who comes into our restaurant who brought the list for us to donate gifts. All the girls I work with gush over him. He's really hot and has a huge heart and volunteers for kids' charities locally. All the girls crush on him, so I thought there was no chance. Then he asked me out to lunch a few months ago and we've been going out since March. I knew that he has an ex that is a single mother. Her daughter is 4. I spend the night at my boyfriend's all the time and I noticed that the little girl calls him a lot. I used to think that it was such a good sign that he cares so much about helping kids that aren't even related to him. I thought he was so unique that way. I could see signs of him being a great dad, but he spends a lot of money on his ex's daughter. When anybody brings up her name he turns into mush. I'm not sure if he's still emotionally too into his ex. He's too involved in her daughter's life. He sings to her at night on the phone to put her to sleep like every other night, and he goes to all her doctor's appointments and other regular dad stuff. I can't imagine why any man would be so invested in somebody who is not their real daughter. I used to think it was his charitable side, but this is way too much. He spent all day at the hospital when she broke her arm and has a picture of her with her cast on his wallpaper on his phone. I'm in love with him, but I can't compete with her. She is everything to him. This is my first time being so in love with anybody and I think I'm not enough. At first it was cute and endearing, but now I feel like total second fiddle to this little girl and I feel horrible for trying to compete with her. It's once in your life that we find someone who is just a perfect fit for us. But mine is just too invested in other people other than me and I feel in the way. I also feel like a selfish jerk wanting all his attention and energy all to myself. On a side note, we've been together for months now and I still don't know why he spends so much time and money on children's charities. I ask him and he gives vague answers. I think that there is something deeper going on with him because it's just not normal for somebody to do all that he does. My mom agrees that something is up with him but that he just doesn't trust me enough to tell me. I wish I knew how to get him to open up. I don't know how to ask the right questions. Does he just not trust me? It makes me really sad because I love his dedication to the cause, but I don't know what drives him. I know he was raised by a single mom, but so are a lot of people. I'm getting sidetracked, so I'll get back to the real question. What is up with him and his ex's daughter? Is this something I'll have to accept forever? It's like a total father-daughter relationship without the actual blood bond. Just in case anybody wonders, no, she is not his bio daughter. Edit to add that he's not the average guy for his age. He's educated and totally focused on his career. At first I thought it was so great that he could care less about video games, which most guys my age are still into, but he's so much more than that. I fall in love with him all over again when I see him interact with his ex's daughter, but it does make me feel less important. Just my luck that my dream man has more important things in mind than me. I also feel like a spoiled brat for ranting about this. I am a little conflicted that way. My mom always points that out. TLDR, my boyfriend is too attached to his ex's daughter. Am I being too unreasonable in worrying about this? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm not sure I'd be concerned unless you are shut out of that relationship. How are his interactions with his ex? Is there anything going on with them? Who ended that relationship and why? Reply. I don't have the whole story on how it ended for them. I know they had been apart for almost a year when we got together. But the way she looks at him, I can tell there is something there on her part. Honestly, her daughter is the sweetest little thing you could ever see. I feel really bad for even questioning his commitment to her. But maybe he doesn't trust me. I've never gotten the whole story about why they broke up or who did the breaking up. There is nothing going on with them, but it makes me uncomfortable that I don't know the backstory on them. Did I just fall in love with the wrong person? I can't compete with them, I feel I don't measure up. OOP adds more info about the BF's relationship with his ex and her daughter and his charity work. They were together for almost 2 years, and the little girl was 1 when he met her. So she's now 4 and they've been broken up for just over 1 year. I asked him why he's involved with children's charities. He's involved in 3 of them. The first one is the one that the list came from. When he was in college he dated a girl who was studying to go into daycare teaching. As part of her studies she was heavily involved with the orphanage. She brought him along a couple of times. He was moved by the items the children were asking for on the list, like we all are. So he goes back every Christmas to pick up a new list and he makes a bunch of copies, and delivers the gifts or give people the option of delivering the gifts themselves, which he prefers because he thinks they will do more if they meet the kids. He's no longer with that girl either, but they are still friends. He doesn't have exes that hate him, that's another weird thing. The other 2 charities are one where he donated money to a nearby elementary school because he read in the local paper that the kids in band were playing air instruments because they didn't have any actual ones. My boyfriend makes kind of a lot of money for his age, so he donated a large enough amount that they hit him up every year for additional donations and they invite him to the band competitions that the school participates in. So now he's friends with the band teachers. The third charity is one where it's pretty much all money. The sheriff's department raises money to buy poor kids school supplies and clothes every summer. So he donates money and volunteers in running an auction, and organizing a walkathon that raises money for the kids. He was raised by a single mother and they really struggle financially, but it doesn't sound particularly traumatic. He sometimes credits his ex-girlfriend from college for having taught him to be more productive. So far that's what I have. Do you think there is more? Update. For some time now my mom has thought it was weird that my boyfriend spent too much time and money with children's charities and not enough time with me. He also spends a lot of time with a little girl that is not his daughter. She sometimes calls him dad even though she knows he's not, and most of the time she just calls him Elliot. Next thing I know my boyfriend calls me and tells me that he despises my mother and he would rather never ever see her again. Then he tells me that he's moving on without me. One of his friends at the police department tipped him off that my mom had called to tell them he might be a pedophile and that she was worried about the little girl he spends time with. I thought these things were supposed to be kept private, but somebody told him and they told him who accused him. She even said she asked to be kept anonymous. I asked my mom 20 times and she denied it every time. Then I called one of her friends and told her that my mom told me what she had done. This lady immediately goes on to tell me how my mom did the right thing and apparently she has been talking to everybody about it, like all her friends. When I finally called her to tell her that her friend ratted her out, she fessed up to it. The cops told her there is nothing to back up her claims. He's involved with 2 children's charities that are run by the police department as an administrator. He organizes an auction and does budgeting stuff which is similar to what he does for a living. The other 2 charities involved gathering gifts every Christmas for children in foster care and delivers them to a warehouse. He teams up with an ex-girlfriend for this one, which is the only weird part. Then he donates money to a middle school for music instruments every year, but again he just writes a check and they invite him to show up to some of the performances and to get an award plaque. But he has 0 actual contact with children in any of the charities. The only girl he has contact with is his ex-girlfriend's daughter, a different ex-girlfriend. Okay, so the cops are kind of friends of his now, and my mom said that they were very threatening to her when she accused him the second time and every time thereafter because she was insisting they are not doing enough to investigate him. I told Elliot that I had nothing to do with my mom and he didn't even listen. He just told me that he's just not going to do this. I feel like the rug has been pulled from under me. I don't see how this is my fault. This is the one guy that I have really loved and that I want to spend my whole life with. But my mom is also not backing off at this point. It has become like she's on a mission and it's only making things worse. TLDR, my boyfriend broke up with me because my mom is going after him, and I can't control my mom. Top comments. Commenter 1. This idea that it has nothing to do with you is absurd. Your mom has been listening to you talk about how weird it is that he cares for a non-biological daughter and volunteers at a children's charity. She would not have any thoughts about this if you hadn't been telling her how weird it is that he does this. If you had only ever said to her, I have a great boyfriend who helps out with children's charities, oh, and he also has a daughter from a previous relationship, full stop. None of this would have happened. Honestly, the whole thing reeks of you having little perspective-taking abilities. It's not weird that he does what he can for a child that he once raised, nor is it weird that he gives his time to charity. It is weird that you and your mother could not understand his behavior. Did either of you consider that he may have had a difficult upbringing and he wants to help other children? The only reason she knows/thinks it's weird is you. So when you say it has nothing to do with you, it does. And it makes sense he would want away from the whole situation. Commenter 2, wow. I am on his side. I would want as far away from your mother, friends, and associates, as is possible. Unfortunately that includes you. You are collateral damage. Your mother should thank her lucky stars she isn't in court for slander, falsehoods, wasting police time and more. Every time he sees you he would probably get reminded of what your mother did and is still trying to do. You do realize your mother tried to ruin his life? Get him put in prison. Never to work again. Possibly killed in prison. Certainly beaten up, certainly stabbed. That's what happens to pedophiles in prison, you know. He's not even a bad person. He helps people for God's sake. Look what your mother and friends did, tried to do, and because her nose is out of joint and she won't listen to truth she is still at it. Then ask yourself, why the fuck are you still talking with your mother? Commenter 3, your mom needs therapy. It has nothing to do with you but she tried to ruin his reputation and face it his whole life. If his mom went around, called the cops and called you a baby killer and animal abuser, would you want to stay with him? Get ready, if he was me I'd slap a lawsuit on her so fast. Reply, my mom just talks too much and always has and she meddles too. But wow, maybe you are right. I called my dad to get him to talk to her, they're divorced, and he just laughed at her. He was more like, oh well, welcome to the party that is life alongside your mother. Commenter 4, you found a gentle man who is kind and generous to others. He bought musical instruments for kids who had none, he gave his money and time to make a little girl feel loved, all with her mother's permission, yet you found it weird and strange that he would do so. Then you gave your mom a running account of how weird it is, and you are surprised that she ran with it, and that he broke up with you because of it. I hope you learned something from this experience. Reply, I think all those things he did are great. But the little girl happens to be his ex-girlfriend's daughter, so I did get a little jealous that the ex would use her daughter to get to him. He also was a little too into the local paper article where they talked about him donating the instruments. They only mention him as an anonymous donor, but I did think he was a little too into reading it and kept it in his desk. I admired all the things he did, but little things seemed out of place to me. Commenter 5, your ex is an unsung hero, who is trying to make a difference in the world, and your mother is trying to ruin his life. She has reported him to the cops not once, not twice, but lots of times. In your first post you said you found his work for children's charities questionable. Obviously you and your mom feel the same way. You absolutely deserve this. Reply, I think what I said is that I didn't know what motivated him. What I found more questionable was his relationship with his ex's daughter. But that wasn't because I thought he was an abuser. It was because I thought the ex was using her little girl to get back with him. OOP came back and made an edit to the update. Edit, I think everybody is misunderstanding me. I never found his charity work to be a bad thing. I just was wondering what motivated him. It's not normal for guys his age to be that committed to that cause. What I did find weird was his relationship to his ex-girlfriend's daughter, but that was because I was a little jealous that the ex was using her little girl to get back with him. What if your boyfriend can't go out with you on Friday night because that's pizza night with his ex's daughter, and his ex? Then Sunday is movie night, and Saturday morning is breakfast day, and that's not even counting putting her to sleep on the phone nightly and pretty much spending time with her every day of the week. Yes, that's a little much when you're trying to spend time with your boyfriend and he's that unavailable, and it's a little weird. It doesn't mean I don't love him or much less that I think he's a pedophile. Stories number 9. Mysterious vibrating in my bedroom. I'm not going crazy. But there's a vibrating in my room that I hear from time to time and it's making me paranoid. I live alone, no one else lives with me but my dog. The buzz I hear sporadically sounds exactly like my iPhone, just a quick short vibration about half a second. It's not my iPhone as I hear it when I'm actively using my phone, and it's not my phone. It's not regular, it doesn't happen in intervals, it's completely random. Sometimes I hear it often, sometimes days go by. It's too quiet to hear when I'm watching TV, almost always when there's no other sound. Sometimes it sounds like it's coming from under my bed, sometimes it sounds like it's coming from the ceiling. I can't for the life of me figure out what it is. I live pretty basic, I have a light mounted on the ceiling, CO detector, iPhone charger, in my room, and that's all the electric things in my room. Could it be coming from inside the drywall? Plumbing maybe. I'm not crazy, this is a real sound, but it happens so infrequently I can't pinpoint it at all. Update. Posted about a strange buzzing in my house over a year ago, and I never was able to figure out what it was. I hear it so infrequently and irregularly that it was almost impossible to figure out what it was. Every time I'd hear it I'd immediately stop what I was doing and go real silent waiting with bated breath hoping it would buzz again. Almost like a cruel joke it would only buzz after I gave up waiting and went back to whatever it was I was doing. Even up to last week I'd still hear it, sometimes multiple times a day, sometimes weeks would go by without hearing it. I'm pretty sure I figured it out and it's comically stupid what it was. So I was sleeping in the middle of the night like 3 a.m. and I woke up and was in a semi-sleep daze kinda drifting. The world was real quiet and it was a deep silence. And I heard the buzz. But for the first time it almost immediately repeated. And kept repeating in frequency almost like a rhythm. I was 100% sure it was my phone ringing on vibrate so I start groping around the bed to find my phone because the buzzing sounded exactly like my phone buzzing every 2 seconds for about half a second. Once I found my phone the buzzing continued, but I couldn't quite place where it was coming from. This is gonna sound crazy and I'm amazed this is the source, but eventually my alertness and physical movements woke my dog up, and the buzzing immediately ceased with a grunt. The buzzing was my stupid shepherd's exhales. Like his every exhale, or possible inhale I'm not sure, was buzzing, exactly emulating a cell phone buzz. I'm decently confident that this is the same buzzing that I've been hearing for years and also the reason that I've been unable to source it because every time I hear it I get super alert and tense which immediately wakes up my dog as he's super in tune to my behavior and his breath buzzing stops. Then when I relax and give up the search he goes back to sleep as the situation's over. That's when I hear it again, and he again wakes up to see what's got me agitated. I also only ever hear it during moments of calm when I'm lounging, never when I'm active and moving about the house so this would make sense that it's only ever when my boy's sleeping. I'm pretty satisfied with this answer, and as I haven't heard it since that night, when I do hear it again I'll be on the lookout to see if it's the dog nose next time as well. Top comments. Commenter 1. This is so awesome. Thank you for the laugh and I'm so glad you figured it out for your own peace of mind. Don't forget the dog tax. Commenter 2. I 100% believe you. My cat snores on occasion and it somehow sounds exactly like the buzz of a phone vibrating. Sometimes I'll check my phone 2 or 3 times before I realize what's happening. Face with tears of joy, so glad you solved it. Stories number 10. Aita for how I handled a prank my brother's fiancé pulled on me. So I know this isn't as dramatic as some of the posts here but I'm curious for your opinions. My brother 29M's fiancé 24F has been trying to prank me 23M forever. I don't get startled easily so she has decided on her own to take up the challenge of being the person who successfully scares me. I never prank her back, but sometimes I'll play along with her attempts. She doesn't do this often. Previous pranks are hiding behind a door car in a closet and jumping out at me so it's never anything elaborate. They've been together 3 years. Never had any problems with them, but she tried to prank me last night and now my brother is upset about it. Both my brother and his fiancée are currently crashing at my apartment because they are in the process of moving into their first home in my city. The prank, she hid under my bed while I was out for a run in the evening. When I got back, before I went into the shower, I was at my bedside table taking my watch off and dropping it on the charger. The room was dark except for my lamp so I didn't notice anyone under my bed. She touched my foot. It was a really light graze so it didn't register with me. I stepped back and squatted down so I could see under there a little. It was dark but I could see long hair. A part of me just knew it was her because no one else would do this. I said something like, her name, I can see you under there. But who's the other one? This scared her. In her panic she struggled to get out from under the bed all while asking me, what do you mean? She scrambled out and slammed into me. She also screamed which made my brother come into the room. She was in my arms. I take it, this is why he's mad. I tried to explain I was just fucking with her because she was clearly trying to prank me. He thinks I'm flirting with his fiancée, that apparently this has been going on for a while since these pranks began. I told him the pranks are his fiancée's idea and he should be having this conversation with her, not me. It's been really awkward between us now. I have 2 more weeks with them. I feel like they're both blaming me and it's unfair. Should I apologize? But for what? I feel like I'm owed the apology. Am I being an asshole? Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. Show them both the door out of your house, immediately. Commenter 2. Seriously. That level of boundary crossing isn't a joke, it's a red flag. If she's pulling stunts like that now and he's defending it, they both clearly have no respect for you or your space. Commenter 3. Op isn't flirting with brother's fiancée but she sure as hell is. And brother dearest started to notice that too. But that's something he should discuss with his wife-to-be and not the victim of her harassment. Stumbling to find yourself in your crush's arms who strongly hold you is such a cheesy rom-com trait. Commenter 4. NTA. So it's okay for his girlfriend to constantly prank you but the one time you turn it around on her and all of a sudden you're the bad guy. Your brother should have put a stop to this a long time ago and stopped enabling his girlfriend's shitty behavior. Tell him that she is no longer allowed in your home and frankly he should not be either until both of them learn how to be actual adults. Reply. It honestly feels like she told him a version of events to save her own ass that's made him develop a misunderstanding/grudge against me. I don't know what it is though because he's giving me the cold shoulder until I apologize, but I have nothing to apologize for SMH. Update. I mentioned in a comment but I have a boyfriend, if it matters, I like women too. My boyfriend has met my brother and his fiancée. I didn't think flirting was something I would be accused of given my relationship, so when my brother brought it up, it felt abrupt and I was blindsided. I spoke with my brother privately since his feelings are more important to me. He said this all came out because ever since they moved into my apartment, his fiancée has been making comments about how I maintain my place, handle chores, the cooking I do for us, how I'm quick to fix things, that I make furniture, I do that for a living, etc. He felt she was comparing us and her comments started to build up. He apologized for directing his frustration at me instead of communicating with her. Which he then turned around and did. I don't know how that went. She refused to apologize to me initially because she claims I have flirted with her too, but she couldn't come up with a single example of the behavior. It doesn't exist. As straightforwardly as I could, I made it clear to both of them that I am not interested in her and if she can't apologize, she can leave. I entertained the pranks before because they were harmless, but they're off the table now. I didn't have a rule about going into my room. I only told them to knock first, if I'm in there. Today, she approached me to apologize. I told her I know it's insincere but I'll accept it because I love my brother. I hope they break up. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. All of this drama may have had one positive outcome. It may have saved your brother from a lifetime with this piece of shit girl. Commenter 2. Well, after seeing this update looks like I was correct. Just a bit crazier than just the flirting/pranking since she's bringing up all OP's good qualities and comparing him against her own fiancé. Hopefully he thinks long and hard about marrying her. I could just imagine down the road if there is a rough patch she's gonna find someone else to compare him to and it won't be family. Stories number 11. Aita for exposing my sister the week before her wedding. Hi everyone. This has been weighing heavily on me as to whether or not I did the right things regarding my sister and her wedding. I, 25F, and my sister, 32F, have had a very close relationship throughout our whole lives. We grew up together, have been there for each other always. My sister got engaged last year and I was happy for her. She had finally found the man of her dreams. She asked me to be the maid of honor and I said yes. Now I was driving to work one day and saw my sister outside a hotel with a guy. I didn't think anything of it at the time and continued with my life. I didn't think of this moment again until we were at a family dinner and I walked in on my sister and fiancé arguing about a friend of hers. He stormed out and I asked my sister what it was all about. She said that she had met up with a friend for brunch the other day and he was overreacting. I gave her the look. You know, the look that lets them know you know they aren't being honest. She then admitted she had been seeing another guy behind her fiancé's back for the last 2 years. It was nothing serious and just a bit of fun. I was furious. Our parents had split up because of my mum cheating on my dad and I never thought she would do that to someone she cared about. I told her she had to tell her fiancé this, otherwise I would tell him. She agreed reluctantly. That was the end of it for a while. I assumed she had told her fiancé everything. It was only at their rehearsal dinner for their wedding that I realized he knew nothing. The guy I had seen my sister with was the fiancé's best man. Here is where I might be the asshole. I love my sister very much and I thought I was doing the right thing. So after the dinner I told her fiancé what my sister had admitted and he was fuming. The aftermath was awful. My sister and mum rang me telling me I should have kept that information to myself and not have told him and called me manipulative and a liar. I reminded my sister calmly that she had told me herself and she said we were sisters and I should have kept her secret. I am really conflicted. I thought I did the right thing. My sister now wants me to apologize to her by telling her fiancé I was mistaken. I don't think I can do this. It's a week before their wedding and as far as my sister is concerned it's still going ahead as long as I take back what I said. Shit is going down. Fiancé's mother has been abusive, yelling at me for not telling her son sooner and in the next breath saying I should have more loyalty. WTF. Don't mind her, we have history. But Aita for telling her fiancé about her affair. Edit. Another reason for her wanting me to take it back is that she's pregnant and hasn't told anyone apart from me. So if I took it back I'd be saving her future family. We don't know who the dad is. Cause everyone keeps asking. Since posting this more drama and BS has gone down that I might update with once some time has passed. It's just messy AF. Update. So if I didn't think it could get any messier I was very much mistaken. My sister's fiancé has a brother and to provide some context, we dated a long time ago and we were going to get married but I backed out. We for have however remained friends and still talk to each other, especially when we found out our siblings were going to get married. I felt this was important for context, as after I told my sister's fiancé about her affair of 2 years with the best man, the brother X reached out to me. He sounded quite serious and I jokingly said, "Don't tell me you've slept with my sister too." There was complete silence. FFS. So one of the reasons I chose not to marry this man was that he admitted to cheating on me. He never said who, I didn't want to know, he was out the door the second he revealed it to me. So to find out 5 years later when we had healed our friendship that he slept with my sister was heartbreaking. I didn't know what to say. I asked if he was still having relations with her and he said no. Like I'm gonna believe him, but whatever, not my circus, not my monkey. Or whatever it is. I asked him if this is all he had to tell me and he said no. Basically it turns out his brother, my sister's fiancé, had also cheated on her on a weekend away a couple of months ago. Can nobody just stay out of the bedroom? Anyway, I have blocked my ex now as I feel we have nothing more to say to each other. And again I was left with a problem. I knew far more than I wanted to about my sister and her fiancé's private lives. So I decided the only logical thing to do was to get them face to face. I called her fiancé and her to my house and got them in the living room together. I gave them the bullet points. She's cheated on her fiancé for 2 years. He had a secret fling one weekend. She has slept with the brother while he was with me. And to top it all off, she's pregnant and nobody knows who the dad is. With this I walked out the room having said my bit. Whether they chose to believe me or not, I didn't care, it didn't matter. All dirty laundry was hanging out to dry on my end. I was done. I was exhausted. A couple of days later I got a phone call from my sister. I am banned from the wedding. Surprise, surprise. And they are gonna get married as planned like nothing has happened. WTF. Baby daddy still hasn't been revealed, but I'm guessing they are looking past this. To be honest, I don't think even therapy can heal me from this mess. I am getting the blame for trying to ruin the wedding and that I am trying to sabotage her marriage. Think she did that a long time ago. Anyways, wedding is in 4 days' time. I have really nothing else to say at this point. My mother has demanded I pay for a damn paternity test seeing as I created this mess. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how my sister getting pregnant with God knows who anything to do with me is. Please be kind, I'm an emotional wreck right now. For those saying you should mind your business, if it was you, you would want to know. I do not regret one thing I did. I stayed honest. Should I give her a paternity test for her wedding gift? Or is that too petty? Yeah, too petty. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Your mom is delulu. Your sister is a mess. It seems that the only logical person in the family is you. You need to get NC with them, it will be better for your mental health. Reply. Yeah, I've been coming to this conclusion myself. Commenter 2. Your mother has some nerve. Tell her that there would be no need for a paternity test or STD tests or any other tests if there was no cheating involved and that you didn't make this baby. Just gross. You didn't make this mess, your sister and her fiancé did. Ask your mom if you should get your own DNA test to make sure you're really your father's child since she's standing by your sister and if the apple really doesn't fall that far from the tree. Reply. I know I'm probably not my dad's daughter but don't want to open a can of worms. Commenter 3. Dang. So is he still friends with the best man? Reply. He's still the best man, so I guess so. Stories number 12. My 30F boyfriend, 36M, related my vagina to plain boiled chicken because I didn't want to do anal. I've been with my boyfriend for 10 years. We've been good and very solid for a long time. This year has been our hardest with multiple instances of infidelity, lies, and betrayal of my trust on his side. We used to enjoy anal together and it was a regular rotation in our sex lives, but his behavior towards me and towards our sex life has changed. I never knew, but apparently one of his exes was an anal queen and he was into a BDSM relationship with her. He got drunk at NYE and cried while reminiscing about her and telling me this. The only reason I was into anal with him is because I thought we were each other's firsts. I thought it was something special between us, not because I needed him to be a virgin or anything, but because he told me I was his first. I believed this as truth for 9 years. A few months after this, I found out he is following her on IG and she posts lingerie and boudoir photos, and he messaged her to get in touch, and he signed up for Ev, when she also has an of that she has since deleted, so I couldn't see if he was subbed to her before he deleted his account after I confronted him about it. But with the infidelity, I no longer trust him and for the last year, I've had zero interest to ever let him do that to me again. But now he pressures me for it. We can't have sex unless it involves some time of anal play or penetration. I ask him over and over to please just let us try normal vaginal sex without any ass play, but he doesn't listen to me. I've noticed his orgasms are not as good when we don't do any type of ass play. Sometimes I think he does fake his orgasms because he used to come so hard and now he doesn't. But now my heart is broken from our most recent fight when he said my vagina. It's a shame they will censor vagina, the correct anatomical term, but pussy is fine, is plain, boiled chicken and kink and anal is the spice he wants. I'm at a loss because he's never mentioned this to me before and he used to act like I was very good in bed. I've always tried my best to please him and to do well and make sure he's having fun. I entered this relationship with a lot of sexual and body trauma and I've always hated the appearance of my pussy from years of online bullying from men when I was young and dumb and needed validation and thought sending nudes would give it to me. They just made fun of me for what I now know is a normal pussy, it's just not a porn-ready, surgically altered pussy. I'm devastated, truly, and very very hurt. He apologized and claims it was a poor metaphor, but how could you say that to someone you love, knowing my past body image issues? He's the one that has helped me heal from so many of them and now he has hit me on my most vulnerable insecurity. I don't know what to do. I'm spiraling in self-doubt. I need help. Or clarity, or something. TLDR, my boyfriend is upset I no longer like anal after he's betrayed my trust and our relationship with his anal queen ex and now he's comparing my vagina to plain boiled chicken. Stories number 13. My ex's mother called me years after the breakup and I told her some truths. About a month ago, my ex-MIL messaged me asking if we could talk. She used to treat me almost like a daughter, very understanding and warm person, always kind to me. But extremely lenient towards her son, whom she spoiled rotten, quite literally, well, not exactly literally, but YK. So I said okay, and she called me on the phone. She told me this whole story about how my ex-FIL is going broke, and how everything has been getting more expensive. She told me about my ex's last girlfriend, which lasted only a few months, and about his ex-wife, whom he married after we broke up, and that lasted a year. So, what she wanted was to ask me for help, for me to give a statement attesting to his good character, because his ex-wife is suing him, accusing him of BC she's autistic, she didn't get into detail, and stalking. The thing is, this relationship ended about 5 years ago. I thank the gods to this day that I was able to escape that hellhole. He was never physically abusive to me. Well, except for the coerced sex, which happened more often than I care to admit. But he would verbally trample me, literally argue everything I said, every idea, even my feelings. He rationalized everything and found ways to convince me that logically my feelings were wrong. He convinced me I didn't have any friends anymore. He pulled me away from my family. He would manipulate everybody around him, including his parents, who just thought he was very bright. He would say that home chores were demeaning and therefore he wouldn't do them and the house would be dumpster for days and days. He would not even do the dishes. Meanwhile, I was finishing law school and working an internship, basically sleeping no more than 6 hours every day. And he was unemployed, had already finished his degree, and just stayed at home all day playing video games. We lived together for 6 years. My only regret was not leaving sooner. He would be rude to waiters and pretty much every worker. He would speak a lot and very fast and very loud in a way that no one could get a word in, much less a full sentence. Once I got sick, puking and sweating with the flu. I asked for help and he said he couldn't do anything. I had to call mother, who brought me meds and soup and sat with me. Once he threatened to kill himself if I left him. He told me multiple times he believed sex was not about pleasure, but about power. Knowing it was important to me, he would withhold it. He pretty much broke me, and though I'm much better now, I'm still healing. Some months ago he reached out saying that he had broken up with his girlfriend and that we should speak again because how come he wouldn't have me in his life anymore, and also he was going to the gym and he was testes at a high testosterone level, and that religious girls were worse than feminists BC, at least we were sincere. He said some crazy shit. That was on WhatsApp. I blocked without responding. He then proceeded to message me on Insta, which I blocked, then had the audacity of sending an SMS. I blocked him there too, blocked him everywhere. Didn't even listen to the voice notes or open the pictures. I don't want to know. So yeah, when his mother called me asking for help, I told her I'm sorry, I feel your pain as a mother and I even sympathize, but I cannot get involved and I will not say something that I cannot attest is true. And yeah, I got mad, and ended up telling her a thing or two about her precious son. She, and every friend of his and his family, are definitely blocked for good now, and once again, I thank the gods I was able to leave that situation behind. Truly, from the bottom of my heart. Stories number 14. I take a very long lunch break in the middle of my workday. This has been going on for 3.5 years now. I work remotely at a very large Fortune 50 company, Monday through Friday, for 40 hours a week. At least those are the hours that I'm on, starting around noon every workday. I take a 1.5 to 2 hour lunch break. I purposely block off my calendar with busy work so no one questions what I've been doing. I honestly cannot find enough hours in the week to be able to do half of the stuff that I need to be able to get done, because that's just part of my job. There is a ton of project management and follow-up with various clients. But that's just about everyone on my team. For some reason, my boss has never questioned me or been suspicious of anything. My intuition tells me that he might do the same thing himself on his remote days, although he has a hybrid schedule. And that's not all. I have taken vacations before during lighter project weeks, where a lot of communication isn't required between me and my team. I took my laptop and logged on during mandatory meetings and then logged off right afterwards. I know there is a lot of talk out there by corporate CEOs saying return to the office is mandatory because of stuff like this, but I always hit my goals, I do everything that's asked of me, and I exceed expectations every year during my performance review. Honestly, this is the first time in my career where I feel like I have a normal work-life balance. I feel like this is what work really should be. 30 to 32 hours of core work, while enjoying life the way it should be enjoyed. Some of the happiest moments of my life have been playing with my toddler son and watching him grow up during my lunch hour. Sorry, not sorry. Stories number 15. Aita for not paying for my wife's $800 impulse delivery. A few days ago, I got lucky and hit a decent windfall, but enough to ease some stress and finally get ahead on a few things. I was planning to stash most of it away for some upcoming house projects we've been planning, new flooring, maybe finally fixing up the bathroom. I didn't even tell many people about it yet, just kept it chill and started sorting out priorities. Then today, a random delivery guy shows up at our place with a pay on delivery order. I'm thinking it's a mistake, but nope, it's a massive clothing haul my wife ordered. Over $800 worth. She never mentioned it to me at all. She just assumed I'd pay for it now that I had some extra money. Honestly, I was pretty stunned. I asked her why she didn't tell me, and she basically shrugged it off, saying, "You've got it, so what's the big deal?" I refused the package. Not out of spite, but because that's a pretty huge amount to just drop without a convo. I'm not saying she can't enjoy any of it, I'd even talked about us doing something fun with a bit of the money, but $800 out of nowhere? That felt off. Now she's mad, barely speaking to me, and says I'm being stingy and ruining what should be a fun moment. I'm trying to be the practical one here, and yeah, I get that a win like this can feel exciting, but it still feels wrong to spend like that without even a heads up. I feel like I'm walking a fine line between being responsible and being a buzzkill. Maybe I should have just paid and talked it out after. I don't know. Aita for standing my ground and not footing the bill for something I wasn't even told about. Stories number 16. Aita for not buying my coworkers food when they already ordered food. Okay, so I work at a pharmacy and my manager offered to order food for everyone. I declined cause I wasn't really hungry at the moment, but the more it got closer to lunch I was a little hungry and my coworkers had already got their food. So I decided to order something small for lunch, not from the same place of course, and when my food came in my one coworker, an older lady, looked at me with a look of betrayal saying why didn't I order them food or ask them. I was like, you guys already ordered food and I didn't want any, so I decided later I wanted one. She got snappy and said I should have offered my hard-earned money when I'm literally on a budget ATM due to having to pay medical bills from an injury and did not want to spend $30+ in money when user an ordering app that rhymes in floor bash. My other two coworkers both looked at me with a weird look like I'm crazy for not buying them food after they ordered. Between the looks they gave me and the fact that I could afford paying for, even though it might cause me a setback in paying for my bills, even though it's my money, I feel like the jerk kinda, even though I know I'm not. So I'm here asking Aita for ordering my own food when my coworkers already got something. Stories number 17. Would I be the if I stopped bringing my child around after my in-laws said they weren't welcome in their home? I, 30F, am currently living with my brother and sister-in-law. I have a school-age child that I don't get to see every day because of my work schedule. So my child primarily lives with their other parent and I take them on my days off. My brother and sister-in-law also have two small children under 3. Back in February I picked my child up from school only to find out they had a fever, took them to the doctor and found out they have the flu. I asked their other parent if they knew they were sick and they didn't know. Not wanting to get anyone else in my home sick, I took my child back to their other parent. They stayed home the next week too and I didn't pick them up again until the next to last week of February and continued doing so until the last week of March. By this time allergy season is in full swing. I pick my child up from school as usual. They're coughing and sneezing but I don't think much of it. When I get them up for school the next morning, they have a very low fever, so I give them some medicine and send them to school. After school, I check their temp and it's now a full-blown fever. I taken them to the doctor, everything comes back negative, and fever is coming down on its own. So I don't take them back to their other parent this time. Instead I isolate them in my room to keep them from possibly spreading whatever it is to the smaller kids. The next morning I'm questioned about it by my brother and sister-in-law and I'm honest. They say okay and nothing else is said until 2 days later when my sister-in-law approaches me and says that my child is no longer allowed to come over because it seems like every time they come over they're sick. That same morning I found out I had been approved for an apartment and would be moving in 2 weeks, so I didn't make much fuss. However, knowing that this is their stance, I don't feel like I should ever bring my child around them since they're always sick. Would I be the AH for that? Edit, I keep seeing a lot of their letting me stay with them. I was asked to come as they needed help in the beginning. Once they were able to manage the day-to-day on their own, my apartment search started. I was not living there for free. I paid rent and I paid it on time. Stories number 18. AIO 24F, for considering divorcing my husband, 25M, after he said his flesh screams to discard me. To give some background, my husband and I have only been married for 2.5 years. 2 things are going on that are making me consider divorce, and I want to know, am I overreacting, or do I need to leave? I received news a few months ago that I have been accepted into the University of Edinburgh to pursue my master's degree. It was my husband, X, and I's plan to apply and go together, as my program is only a year. This was a compromise after months and months of me pushing off applying anywhere outside of my hometown for X, at his desire to live in our city just a little longer. I have a prestigious degree, have already turned down an internship at one of the nation's top 10 offices in my field, and have already progressed to the highest position within my department at my firm. I gave it all up gladly for a short while, but he knew that an integral part of me is the desire to apply outside of our hometown and grow. I thought he understood this about me. I told him this part of me for years. By the time grad school had come up, I was tired of putting off my goals and aspirations. I stood firm in my acceptance from the school. I didn't expect this to make X so upset. Yet now, as the months between now and September shorten, X has gone to any degree to express his plan for us to stay and to back out of the year abroad he already agreed to. He told me that my dreams are just dreams and that if I wasn't happy now, I would never be happy. He said that our roles are not equal and that he prays I will see it this way one day. After that, we fought a lot. He would seek out counsel and proceed to tell me I should not be the one making decisions because I am a woman. He's apologized for that, but I can't shake it off. I told him he could join me or leave, and then the unimaginable happened. One day in the midst of our fighting, I came home from work, he sat me down, and proceeded to tell me that he had been lying about addictions to nicotine, weed, porn, and struggling with alcohol for half of our engagement and all of our marriage. I didn't know what to do. I started to realize that most of the times he did not want to spend quality time with me, it was because he was high. I had felt alone for a good portion of the beginning of our marriage. I knew he struggled with alcohol, I carried the embarrassment of it whenever he drank himself sick in front of friends and family. Whenever he did drink, he would lie to me about being drunk while stumbling. Honestly, I was more upset about the lie than the severity of any of the substances. I told him he needed professional help. He told me I needed godly counseling. 1 or 2 months went by, X did not get professional help, and I did not give up my postgraduate degree. I saw him live without substances for the first time, really, and he got frustrated and angry because he proclaimed he was now living a transparent, godly life, and because of it, I should be submitting. He would get angry that I would not support him the way he wanted me to in pursuing sobriety, and I told him I was trying, I was just also trying to balance my hurt. This was when X told me that God told him specifically that we have to stay. And I told X no. He told me my dreams were idols, that I love Edinburgh more than him, and that he hasn't asked me to really sacrifice at all. He told me that he loves me with God's love so much, that he has chosen to love me through our disagreement, even when his flesh screams at him to disregard me and to move on. He will not take ownership of his words. He thinks that because he has a sinful nature, that it's okay to say this to me. I think doing so removes his responsibility of owning the mean words he said to me. We were just doing well for a month, and now we haven't been talking for days. He told me the women I have in my life, whom I have sought counsel from since I was 16, did not meet his requirements for godly counsel. He told me that it was his need for me to seek counsel from a woman he approves of, and that he hopes I love him enough to do what he says. I told him I would not remove the women who have been so close to me. He told me that my refusal in that and my refusal to give up Edinburgh despite what God told him is me, content with living in discord. I told him then that I was sick of always validating my hopes and dreams, my friends, my church involvement, and my spirituality, and that my dreams are not idols. I told him that I don't love Edinburgh more than him, but that what we do now determines the rest of our lives, and I want to be with someone who supports me. I don't know if this was too harsh, he hasn't spoken to me in 2 days. I am torn because when everything is well, we are so beautiful together. My heart hurts for what we could be, but I know that I cannot stay in a marriage that is only pretty at the cost of my autonomy. I am familiar with the word of God myself, and no women are called and equipped just as men are. It is not okay for him to say our roles are not equal. Even if those roles are different, that does not inherently make one role less than the other. My plan now is to shut down any conversation about my graduate degree. I will still go, and he is welcome to do whatever he wants, except belittle me and my dreams. He still has not spoken to me and is avoiding me, and I am not sure if he will continue that tonight. Am I overreacting by considering divorce only 2.5 years in, or should I be more patient with him and welcome him to join in my journey? How far is too far? How lenient in his healing from addiction is too lenient? Stories number 19. I think my son is being abused by my ex-wife and her husband and don't know what to do. CPS and dependency law. I, 30M, have a son, 7, who I think is being emotionally abused by his mother, 30, and physically abused by his stepfather, 30s. Some friends and family think I should contact CPS, and others think that's a bad idea. The reason I think he's being abused is because of the things he's told me and certain actions or reactions. For example, he often gets extremely sad when he's told that it's time to go back to his mom's. He says that she often yells at him for the smallest things. This tracks with my memory of her when we were together. She and her now husband are constantly yelling and fighting according to my son. My house is the opposite. My partner, 30F, and I make it a point to never yell or say mean things out of anger. We separate when we need to and then come back and talk calmly and with patience and understanding. We extend that into the lessons we teach my son as well. My son is very observant and perceptive, and I know he's picked up on it because he'll randomly voice how different his two houses are. This is all because both my partner and I come from childhoods and past marriages with a lot of anger and yelling. We've recognized how damaging it can be, especially for growing children. According to my son, his stepdad is the one who doles out the physical punishments. He has described how stepdad will point towards the sky and then come down hard on his bottom. There was one instance where my son bent to reach down for something and then quickly straightened up. I caught him muttering how he can't do that yet and asked him about it. He said that it was nothing and, not wanting to exasperate the subject, I let it drop. I told my partner when she got home from work and we decided to talk to him about it the next day. He admitted how stepdad spanks him and after a bit of prompting, showed us his bottom, which still had a red mark on it, even after at least a day or two had passed. If I remember correctly, it was because there was a little bit of poop in his underwear. My son has been struggling to recognize when he needs to go, or he's so involved in whatever he's doing that he tries to ignore it. We work with him on it and seem to make progress while he's with us, but seems to lose that progress after being at his mom's. My partner did some research and found that these problems could be due to high levels of stress and anxiety in a child. He said that stepdad has even spanked his little brother for things, and I'm pretty sure the child is only 2 years old or less. So, they yell at him and spank him for having accidents. He saw me painting my nails one day and asked if I could do his. I said yes, of course, but after a minute, he said never ending because his mom would get mad and yell at him. He's always excited to see me and my partner, running to us squealing with his arms wide for a hug, a huge smile on his face. He never acts that way with his mom. I know he sees her more, but he doesn't even smile or say hi most times. It was even the same reaction after I had him for a whole month and he didn't see her. He only asked about her once the entire time. He has also said multiple times how he wishes he was staying with me most of the time or even forever. It's always bittersweet when he says that, but what do I do? Do I call CPS? Do I wait till he's older and can decide to live with us instead? I'm afraid that my ex will try to retaliate if I try anything, either trying to hurt me or my son. I feel like I need to save my son, but I don't know what to do. Please help. Stories number 20. For getting a restraining order against my daughter who cut me off. When I was 13, I got pregnant by my boyfriend at the time. My parents reacted harshly, kicking me out of the house and sending me to live with my grandparents. They cut me off completely. I had brought shame to the family. Although they maintained contact with my grandparents to keep an eye on me, they never reached out to me directly. It hurt deeply, but I tried my best to move forward. As a single mother to my daughter, Vanessa, I relied on my grandparents for support until I turned 18, at which point they stopped providing financial help. Despite the challenges, Vanessa and I shared a close bond. She married my son-in-law at the age of 23, our relationship continued positively for a time, but I began to notice her pulling away. I recognized that I could be overbearing. I would often reach out to her multiple times a month, which she felt was excessive. It became clear that she was distancing herself in favor of her in-laws, who were genuinely kind people, and I understood that. Some time later she started posting bullshit on her socials, making up horrible stories about me. She said I let my boyfriends SA her for years and would leave her with them. This is a complete lie. I never dated men and always put her first. No, my grandpa did not do anything to her, and that I know. He is not a child predator in any way, and I know he wouldn't do that. He never even interacted with my daughter and always avoided her ECT. I confronted her about these lies and asked her why she would make up such horrible things. She replied with, "Go fuck yourself," and started saying that I was always overbearing. I take full responsibility for that and apologized for it. I started getting harassed by people. There were posts made about me where people would write that I was a rapist offender, ECT. It was horrible. I lost my job, which by the way is illegal, but I didn't fight it. In the end I ended up leaving our city because this was taking a toll on my mental health and I was genuinely scared. During this time my son-in-law told me that my daughter would probably come around, and he told me that she had been talking a lot of shit about me during their courting days, provided proof and told me he was sorry and had no idea why she was acting like this. My daughters, in-laws also reached out and basically told me they heard what happened and were appalled by this. They couldn't force her to want me near her, which I understood. Fast forward 2 years, at the age of 38, I met my now husband. I was upfront with him about my past and my relationship with Vanessa. During this time, Vanessa had cut me out of her life entirely in favor of her new family. Thanks to my husband's support, I was able to reconnect with my parents, who had been distant for many years. While our relationship isn't perfect face with rolling eyes, it has improved over time. Fast forward to now, I now have 2 16-year-old twins, a 14-year-old girl, a 10-year-old boy and a 5-year-old, soon 6, girl. At this point I've been cut off from my daughter's life for 18 years and I have no desire to have her in my life again. I'm currently 54 and I realize now that I'm pretty old. I'm constantly terrified of dying and leaving my kids, especially since my youngest is 5. My children are aware of their sister's existence, but the older ones have made it clear they want nothing to do with her, viewing her as a random woman rather than family who is old enough to be their mom. I have never once withheld any truths and told them the entire thing, admitted to being overbearing ECT. Fast forward to now, Vanessa sent me a message through something called hita.se that lets you find anyone in our country and ask to meet her siblings. I told her no and to leave them alone. This woman drove 4 hours and 41 minutes to catch my 16-year-old kids at school, where she was reported by the principal after trying to find them. My kids were understandably embarrassed. My husband is considering sending her a message to warn her against coming near our children again, and I share his concern. The thought that she might approach my youngest daughter's preschool terrifies me. Again, this is what I hate the most about my country. It's a safe place, but in situations such as this, it's not. I wrote this while I was tired. I'll answer any questions in the comments. Also, I have not proofread this at all. Stories number 21. Rape Simulator, No Mercy, to disappear from Steam, says developer. He just posted a long-winded statement on Steam full of BS, claiming it was his decision to remove the game. LOL. Edit, his Patreon is gone too. Dear world. Recently, there has been a lot of noise about the game, No Mercy. We want to address a few issues. False information about the content in the game was very often repeated. People created videos and spoke with great conviction about things that weren't in it, which showed that they hadn't even launched the game. Some did such extensive research that they presented graphics from a completely different game. I hope that game survived this ordeal. If this is what your attempts to act in good faith look like, we deeply believe that no one will ever suffer from being wrongfully accused by you. However, think twice about whether it's worth repeating everything you've heard from someone and whether the information you're passing on is actually true. Better yet, do some work yourself instead of blindly chasing views. Secondly, many people unfortunately confuse fiction with reality, attributing fabricated stories where people who play No Mercy then go out on the street and commit vile acts. In general, all those who played it are mentally ill and hate their mothers and women in general. That's how it's generally presented, and we completely disagree with this. During development, we conducted hundreds, if not thousands, of conversations with people who tested the game, and everyone perfectly understood what the game was about and that it was a game. They were normal people. The same applies to the partners of all those who participated in the project. I guarantee that during production, no one was harmed, and we all consider ourselves completely normal and healthy individuals. However, we are concerned about the mental health of people who sent us emails. Some descriptions of what you would do to us were really sick compared to what could be found in No Mercy. About the famous kinks in the game. Let's start with what shocked public opinion: incest. Real incest is something disgusting, and we fully agree with that. However, incest is also one of the most popular kinks worldwide when it comes to pornography, mainly because it typically portrays third parties, strangers, in no way related to the person watching it. Stepmom, stepson, stepdaughter are among the most frequently searched terms in pornography, which, for emotionally stable people, is just roleplay. I guarantee that no person who enjoys such a fetish feels sexual attraction toward their relatives. If we want to criticize someone for enjoying watching such portrayals, I believe we're intruding too deeply into their sexual sphere. Some people like feet, some like costumes, and some like this type of roleplay. Rape. Here also, no one wants anyone to get hurt. However, it's strongly connected with blackmail and male domination, which is also a fetish. If someone plays with their partner at home pretending to be a student and teacher who demands sexual acts in exchange for a grade, should we label them as sick and call them rapists, check their computer, and lock them in prison? I fully understand that for many people such things may be disgusting, but during sex, people should really do what they want, as long as they don't harm anyone. Can a game harm someone? According to many studies, with the emergence of the internet and pornography in the 90s, sexual crimes decreased by half. If someone is sick, dangerous, and might actually harm someone, would playing a game or watching pornography increase their desire to do so? We sincerely doubt it. Rather, they'll satisfy this need at home and perhaps save someone from harm. It's somewhat similar to shootings and playing games. It has been proven many times that games reduce the amount of violence in people rather than increasing it. It was also very inappropriate to report that the game was available to 12-year-olds. The game still required creating an account, selecting the appropriate option, connecting a credit card, and paying for it. Since so many people showed graphics from a different game, it might mean that it wasn't so easily accessible after all. In an era where such content is available online by typing one of the most popular pornography sites, we sincerely doubt that any minor would perform such actions. Nonetheless, it's their parents' responsibility to supervise the type of content they access. However, here we come to the last point, which is the role of media and various organizations, as well as internet content creators. Please consider, would anyone who wasn't looking for such content hear about this game if it weren't for hundreds of articles, petitions, and statements from content creators? After all, if someone believed that this game shouldn't be available in their country, they could have handled it quietly, they could have reported the matter to the authorities. Meanwhile, websites used the trending topic for clicks, organizations placed links to fundraisers under petitions, and content creators made videos that garnered more views. The result of all this was that the game suddenly went from around 1,000 visits to 100 times more in those days. There are certainly events that need to be publicized quickly, when someone is actually being harmed and we can save someone. Was it really necessary in this case, for those few views and extra money for fundraisers? At this point, the game has been blocked in 3 countries, Australia, Canada, and the UK. We don't intend to fight the whole world, and specifically, we don't want to cause any problems for Steam and Valve. They do a great job and are incredibly helpful. If after reading the above, you still believe that such a game should not have been created, then we sincerely apologize to you. At the same time, we would like you to be a bit more open to human fetishes that don't harm anyone, even though they may seem disgusting to you. This is still just a game, and although many people are trying to make it into something more, it remains and will continue to be a game. We've made the decision to withdraw No Mercy from Steam. Xerit Games. P.S. If you have purchased the game, you will not lose access to it. Stories number 22. Aita for telling my girlfriend her Instagram photos are too edited and saying I'll post the originals if she doesn't take them down. My girlfriend, 29F, who has a decent following on Instagram, and I, 35M, just got back from a trip to Mexico. We took a ton of photos, most of them on my phone cause I have a better camera, and today she posted a bunch on Instagram but they were all edited using FaceApp or something. She edited so much, she changed her chin, made her eyes slightly bigger, narrowed her shoulders and waist, and gave herself a perfectly round but that straight up does not exist in real life. She also edited my face without asking me. I compared them to the originals and told her it's too much. I said editing yourself like that is basically lying, and it makes both of us look fake, and she said I was overreacting. I told her to take them down and she refused, so I told her if she keeps them up then I'll post the originals. She's pissed now and says I'm being mean and that it's not a big deal. I don't think I'm the asshole, I just don't want to be part of some fake version of ourselves online. Aita. Stories number 23. Aita for not letting my girlfriend move in after she quit her job without telling me. So I'm, 20M, living on my own in a 1-bed apartment, not huge but it's mine. I work full-time and pay all my own bills. My girlfriend, 21F, has been staying over a lot lately, and we've been dating for like 8 months. Last week she texts me randomly like, I quit my job today, no heads up, no convo, just boom quit. I asked her what the plan was and she said, I'll figure it out, maybe I'll just move in WU for a while so I don't have to stress. I was like, huh. We never talked about her moving in, especially not like that. I told her I wasn't cool with that and she got super mad saying, I thought we were serious, you don't support me, blah blah. She's been guilt-tripping me ever since. Telling her friends I abandoned her when she needed me, and now they're all in my DMs like, wow bro real mature. Ick man. I'm not trying to be her fallback plan. She didn't even ask me. Just assumed and now I'm the bad guy. Stories number 24. Aita for telling my dad that his new girlfriend of 3 weeks and her 4 kids can't come to my birthday. Hey, so my dad just started dating this woman 3-ish weeks ago. I don't live at home anymore, I'm away for university but drive back on the weekends. My grandparents always come visit for my birthday and my dad decided having his new GF along with her 4 kids come over, despite me not being comfortable with them due to not knowing them overly well, is a good idea. My birthday is roughly a week away and I asked him if he could have them over some other day because I just want to spend time with my grandparents on my birthday. He said that he asked my brother and sister if they wanted his girlfriend and her kids to come over and they didn't mind. So I said, why didn't you ask me? It's my birthday, to which he replied, you always say no to hanging out with them when you visit, because I want to relax and see my hometown friends. He's only asked me like 3x, so then I was mad that he didn't ask because he knew I'd tell him I didn't want them at my birthday. Stories number 25. Refuse to order meds for my patient. Let me get the wife to yell at you. I used to work night shift as a nurse. One night many years ago, I received a patient on my unit from the emergency room. My patient was accompanied by his lovely wife. When I introduced myself to them as being their nurse, I noticed immediately he was in severe pain. I reviewed his chart and orders. The doctor had not ordered any pain medications for him, just written to admit him to the unit. I called the doctor who told me he was not going to order anything until he reviewed the patient's chart and saw them. I was confused, because he did see them in the emergency room, so why the delay? I tried to ask, but he insisted he would be up to the unit soon and then hung up. I apologized to the patient and the wife, relaying the doctor's message. Several minutes later, the doctor comes up and I ask him again for any pain medications I could give as my patient was still having severe pain. The doctor told me no, then proceeded to gather a bunch of charts, sit at the nursing station and ignore me. I went back to the patient's room again, apologized and told them that the doctor was here but was wanting to review charts first before making orders. The wife I could tell was becoming angry as her poor husband had been having severe pain with no relief. She asked me where the doctor was and I gladly escorted her to the nursing station. I told the doctor that the patient's wife wanted to talk to him. I remember her ripping into him about the wait, her husband's suffering and his refusal to write for any medication. He immediately apologized and gave me orders for medications that could be given immediately. So yay for family members who can yell at doctors because I can't. Stories number 26. My BF, 25M, wants a prenup and wants me, 24F, to pay for my own lawyer when I am okay with following state divorce laws. How do I go about this? My BF and I are planning on engaged soon and married shortly after. He already has the ring, but said there are a few things he wants to figure out before he proposes. He said that he needs to have a prenup in order to get married to me and he wants me to pay for my lawyer. We just have regular paying jobs and neither of us own businesses or houses. The only thing we own are our cars. We are moving to a new state this summer and I've been working on saving up for that. However, shortly after we get married, we will apply for a green card too, which is expensive. I don't think a prenup is necessary, but he refuses to get married without him. I said that's fine and I'll make a prenup with him, but I don't want to have to front the costs as I don't think they are necessary. To me, it basically feels like he is telling me that in order to marry him I have to pay over $1,000 to get a document that he wants, but it has to come from my pocket. I told him I'd help pay for some but not all. He also got a huge bonus which helps him to pay for those things. If I should help him pay for the green card and the prenup stuff or if he should be the one to front the costs. Stories number 27. My Jeep's body odor isn't normal, she insists it is. Am I just unaware? Update: my GFS had blood work done and been to her DRS appointments regularly and never had diabetes. She says it's never come up and no family history. She had a lump last year around August and had a lot of scans and bookwork then too and no mention of diabetes or any issues. My GFS body odor is unlike any person I have known. Over the years we were dating before living together I just thought she was covering up her B.O with scented products or something. Like, no one smells great all the time, we'd go hiking or camping or to the gym where it's expected to get a little sweaty, and I thought her B.O was accompanied with like deodorant and perfume or something. My former relationships would smell like their sweat and deodorant, so that's what I figured with my GF too. But since living together I realized that's not the case. My GF wears dependent and perfume, yeah, but it's not the smell I'm smelling. Her baseline B.O without product of any kind smells like kinda musky peaches. It isn't unpleasant at all, it actually smells pretty nice for body odor, but it's concerning. That's not normal. She says it's because it's her pure scent, and body odor smells bad because bacteria, and she uses stuff that kills bacteria that causes bad odor, so even when she's sweating it is just her scent and not stink. It's not normal that body odor doesn't stink, right? I thought, you work out and it's healthy, your body sweats and it has impurities and stuff your body is pushing out, the bad stuff, and that stinks. If her body isn't stinking, it's not getting out all that bad stuff and impurities, it is just building up. She acted like she's never heard that before and kindly listened to my concerns, but when I told her she should see a professional about it, she disregarded it and said she was fine and didn't see any reason to. Even after I gave her perfectly good reasons to. So I was looking it up a little bit, and this website I saw said it could be an unhealthy buildup of bad products over a lifetime, and a detox should help that and get her back to normal. Her products don't seem bad, but maybe it's her body holding on to the event and building up those molecules, so when she sweats that's what's coming out and not all the bad stuff and stink. I tried to encourage her to throw them out and get healthier products. She asked why I didn't. I don't have that problem though, so my stuff is fine. This isn't normal, right? B.O should stink. If your body isn't doing it, or you're stopping it from happening, it's just building up in your body and can make you sick, right? Am I crazy here? How do I get her to understand this? Stories number 28. Aita for refusing to pick up my niece from school every day. I, 28F, work full-time and live about 40 minutes away from my sister, 33F. She recently started a new job and asked me if I could pick up her 8-year-old daughter from school every weekday because her hours don't allow her to get there in time. I don't drive, I rely on public transport, which means I'd need to take a bus and then walk about 15 minutes to the school, then do the whole trip back with a kid. I finish work around 3:30, and her daughter gets out at 4, so technically it's possible, but barely. I told her I'm sorry, but I really don't have the energy or time for that every single day. I suggested she look into a sitter, carpool, or after-school program. She got mad and told me I'm choosing convenience over family and that I never step up when it matters. For context, I have helped in the past. I've babysat when she had emergencies, taken her daughter on weekends, even helped her move last year. I just don't want to commit to being a daily chauffeur, especially when I'm not even driving. Now she's barely talking to me, and my mom says I could have done it just for a few weeks while my sister settles in. I honestly don't think I'm wrong for saying no to something that would completely drain me, but now I'm feeling guilty. Stories number 29. Crying on the inside. My wife is a college professor. Her coworker is a single guy in his 70s. Never been married, anyway. He fell ill a few years ago. He's been in and out of the hospital and struggling to teach. He's been doing dialysis for a while now. Long story short, he was taken off the list for a new kidney, then a few months later added back. The doctors were telling him that he was going to age out soon. Like less than 6 months. Well, today he called her and said that they found him a kidney and he's going in for surgery tomorrow. I don't know why I'm getting emotional about it. I guess it's just because he doesn't have anyone in his family outside of his sister and us. I mean, I don't even hang out with him. But whenever I see him we talk and get along. I'm just really happy for him. I apologize if this is the wrong place for this, but I had to share something positive. Stories number 30. Potential buyer damaging our property. Our home is on the market and we had a showing this morning. Our home is decked out in Ring cameras, so of course we are going to see who is entering our home. Got a notice it was a mother and child, no problem. Until it was. Once the mom arrived at our home, realtor is late, she let her child push our for sale sign in our yard while she walked down the street and left the toddler in our front yard alone. Realtor finally arrives, she now allows the child to run around in our home. We only know this because a lot of things were misplaced or put out of reach of a child, aka door stoppers, shoes, dog toys, things originally on the floor but now placed on countertops. We see the group on our pool camera, backyard, and the mother lets the toddler wander in our backyard by our pool alone. The mother and the agent are too busy looking at the RV parking on the side of the house while the toddler fumbles around the pool alone. This is all on camera. The group finally moves into the home, where we don't have cameras lol, for another 20+ minutes where we expect the items being moved. 20 minutes later, we watch them leave and the mother picks up the toddler who proceeds to kick over our statue in the entryway and break it. All on camera. We reached out to our agent, sent them all video, who then reaches out to their realtor, who said they want to know how to make it right. Do we ask them to replace the statue? We have had it for years, but we truly love having it in our entryway. It was a few $100 maybe 10 years ago and I'm sure they don't make them anymore. We are more upset that they let a child run around unsupervised near our pool and could have had an accident plus moving personal items within our home. Stories number 31. Aita for abandoning my husband at his low. I 35F and married to my husband 36M. He's a good husband and father. His mom and I just do not click. His mother moved in with us without permission last year. I just managed to escape her and get her out because she went back to her home country for a few months vacation. Well, in her home country, she got a full medical workup, including whole body scan, and they found cancer. She wants to come back to us and have treatment here. I couldn't stand her before and had told my husband she cannot move back in for any time, even short period, which is what she said last time, and it lasted a year. I told him I'm sorry for the news. When he suggested I'll move back in so we can help out and she has no home, because she sold hers and moved in with us, again without permission. I told him, no, absolutely, she cannot move in with us, and if she moves in, I will move out with our kids. I told him if he wants to live with his mom, he should get an apartment and move his mom in with him, while I stay with the kids. He said I'm abandoning him at his lowest as MIL is his last living relative. I told him I'm not abandoning him, I'm there for him, but I refuse to live with MIL. Am I an AH? Stories number 32. People are obscenely cruel about the homeless. I get recommended a few big city subs. Every single post I see is some variation of, homeless people disgust me, we should put them all in prison so I don't have to look at them. Yes, they are rude sometimes. But good Lord, look at the way you talk about them. Imagine if you had people talk about you that way, every single day. You would become a pretty huge piece of shit pretty fast, too. You know how you see homeless people on the corner at intersections and you look away and pretend you don't see them? Don't pretend, we all have done it. Put yourself in their shoes for 5 seconds. You would start believing everyone is a jerk who doesn't deserve your best in record time. The 180 that homeless people and those with substance disorders do when you're nice to them is fucking astronomical. How's your day? What's your dog's name? Shit, even, I don't carry cash but you have a blessed day. What's your name? Where are you from? Did you see the college sports team lost the last game? Say anything to them that's normal and it's like they turn into a different person. The number of times I have heard people on the corner tell me that a 45-second conversation is the most they've actually talked to another human being in years is astonishing. They can get help, why would they believe anyone wants to help them when all they ever hear is the most vile shit I've ever heard other people say about them? Some of the people on this site are absolutely rancid. Learn to care about people other than yourselves. Stories number 33. My parents chauffeured me around. I'm in my 40s with a family of my own, and my parents are in their 70s, living on the other side of the country. Recently I had a work conference in a city near them, so I scheduled my flights with a little buffer so I could visit with them. They picked me up from the airport and dropped me off, took me to some of their favorite places and paid for or made my meals. They don't live in my childhood home anymore, but they made up a nice guest room and bathroom for me, with a few of my old things in it. I've only met their cat once before, but he took to me instantly and was very sweet and affectionate. I didn't have to plan anything, navigate anywhere, do anything really, but be myself. It was wonderful to feel like a carefree kid again, and to feel so loved and cared for. The last time I visited them was 3 years ago and with my whole family, so the attention, rightly, was on my kids. I realize how lucky I am to still have them here, healthy and able-bodied, when so many of my friends have lost parents or are dealing with awful things like dementia. I keep thinking back on my visit with such appreciation. And yes, I did thank them profusely. Stories number 34. Aita for not taking off my face mask on a plane even though the guy next to me kept making comments about it. So I, early 20s am traveling for work this week and was on a 3-hour flight sitting next to this older white guy, probably in his 50s. For context, I'm Asian, and I was wearing a black KN95 mask just because I had a sore throat and didn't want to get sick before a big presentation. Right after I sat down, this guy looked at me and said something like, "Still wearing those things, huh?" I just awkwardly laughed it off and didn't respond because I didn't feel like having that conversation. About 20 minutes into the flight, he straight up asked, "You sick or just paranoid?" I told him, "Just being cautious, I'm traveling for work." He rolled his eyes and said, "You know they don't even work, right?" At this point I was already annoyed, but I just put in my AirPods and ignored him. Later on, a flight attendant came by offering snacks and I said no thank you. The guy goes, "You know you can take it off to eat, right? You're not going to die." I didn't even answer him that time. I told my friend about it when I landed and she said I probably came off rude by not answering and making the situation more tense. But I honestly didn't think I was obligated to justify wearing a mask or make small talk with some dude who clearly didn't respect my decision. I wasn't trying to make a statement, I just didn't want to get sick. I didn't say anything rude or confrontational, I just didn't want to engage. But now I'm wondering if I was kind of an asshole for being cold and passive-aggressive. Stories number 35. Truck driver didn't let me pass, so I made him wait longer. So Thursday one of our drivers called in sick and I had to fill in. We're transporting overseas containers. At the depot there are usually 2 lanes in smaller terminals, one for driving through and one for parking to pick up deliver your container. The lanes were a little backed up, but no big issue. Crane operator came downwards, finished the driver in front of me, he drove out and the next one took his spot. Now my problem was with the driver who came after him. I was next in line until the first guy I mentioned parked his truck. The operator had already lifted my container. And everybody could see that. But still this motherfucker drove his truck right next to mine, even 2 meters further. I was finished and couldn't get out. The guy after him, driving lane, saw that and even didn't pull up, leaving space for this asshole to back up, so I could leave, cause usually the crane operators drive the positions upward, finish up the drivers along the way and then downward. Same story, they don't go back for a single driver. I told him, dude, could you back up, I'm finished, rather dumb, given the circumstance, that he drove further anyways, but still. He was like, no way, I got this position, I'm staying here. My man, I'm finished, the crane operator won't come here anytime soon, you can just back up and even take my parking spot. If you say, pretty please, I just might, he said, which really ticked me off. Because house rules even state that you're supposed to pick the next position, if yours is taken, or drive another round, if that doesn't work either. So this guy was parking in the driving lane, a place where he had no entitlement to, which was prohibited, acting like I was asking him for money. Now I know every worker at said depot, I know most of them even personally, I just don't like bothering people during work, but this time I had to do something. So I called the operator on his cell, instructed him to clear the guy in front of me, so I could leave and then told him what happened between me and the idiot to my left. I made sure he knew which truck I was talking about. You see the guy, white truck, license plate XYZ. Yeah, brother, make sure he has to unpack his camping tent, this motherfucker needs to learn. Sure thing, brother, he said and I left. Turns out we had the same customer, big company, receiving multiple containers per day. Dude came in 2 hours later. I was told by the security guard at the gate. I was annoyed that I had to wait a bit, despite nobody else being there. Now imagine this guy standing last in line of a whole gaggle of truck drivers. Stories number 36. Is my 30F relationship with my BF 31M over because he's starting to support Trump? I've known my BF since high school, but we only started dating 2 years ago. I know politics isn't a deal breaker for some. I've always been really passionate and outspoken about these things. It's not like I didn't know my BF was apolitical, or moderate, when we first started dating. I mean during the super dark days of COVID when he first asked me on a date and I said yes only if we socially distanced. He got annoyed and didn't want to meet, he was confused why I'd take COVID so seriously. My point being, we've always been different on these topics and it shouldn't be a surprise to me now that this issue is still relevant. I just ignored it in the beginning because I was honeymooning so hard. Anyways, last night he told me that he thought Trump is the first president he has seen care so much about the people of America. My jaw dropped. Like, are we living on the same planet? Potentially unrelated context: I'm Iranian, daughter of immigrants, and he's white. I know you don't have to agree on everything with your partner, but I just want to feel understood. And I worry that for someone who's as impacted by these things that this issue won't go away for me. If I'm being honest, I'm also worried about breaking it off and realizing it was a huge mistake when I have to start all over and open up again to anyone new. Ugh. I know that's a common and silly not real reasoning though. We live together, first guy I've ever lived with, and have 2 kittens together. Fuck. I dwell on big decisions a lot and just had to get my thoughts written. If anyone's wondering, other parts of the relationship are fine, I guess. Although I do feel like our sexual compatibility has maybe gone down since living together. But that's fixable. I've heard. Sometimes I wonder about our intellectual compatibility, but that also goes into these topics regarding Trump and other basic things. No one's ever gonna be perfect for you though, right? It's about compromise. How do you know when you're settling? Stories number 37. My boyfriend is too religious to the point where he can't be logical. I am a strong atheist whilst my boyfriend is Orthodox Christian. We tend to avoid talking about religion as we know we will never see eye to eye, but tonight we got into the debate. For those who don't know, Orthodox Christians follow a different calendar to other branches of Christianity, meaning they celebrate Christmas on different days, etc. I simply asked if he can understand why I find it hard to believe in religion when you all can't even agree on when certain events happened. It led to a pretty heated and spiteful conversation where I just flat out said I don't believe that Jesus or God or any of that was real. In response to that he asked me whether I believed that George Washington existed or other famous people that lived hundreds of years ago. I was baffled by this and he continued to say that these people might not have been real because no one living today has seen them with their own eyes. I genuinely had no idea how to respond to this because I didn't believe he was being serious. I replied and said they were real because we have their skeletons and he said how do we know that there are skeletons in those coffins? I honestly gave up at this point. In order to gain security in his own beliefs he is fully willing to discount physical evidence and make preposterous claims. We have been together for 2 years now and the more often we have conversations like this the more I am concerned because I cannot understand a person who discounts logic to try and prove a point. My other arguments consisted of the most common atheist argument of how could an all-loving God force us to live in a world of suffering where children can have bone cancer and other horrific diseases and also how I do not understand that because of two people, Adam and Eve, disobeying God, all of humanity must pay the price. Most of my reasonings come from Stephen Fry's famous atheism interview. If you haven't watched I thoroughly recommend. Anyway I don't have any questions that need answering from you guys, I just wanted to rant and hear if any of you have had similar experiences. I guess my one question would be if it's possible to continue a relationship where both people are firm in their beliefs with no respect for each other's. One thing I will say though, I have always had respect for my boyfriend's faith but I have asked him if he respects my beliefs and he has always said no and that I am influenced by the devil. Sorry this was really long. Your girl has been going through it. Stories number 38. Neighbor is acting erratically over me building a fence in the front of my house. I will update as things occur. Check below for updates. We used to get along great with our next door neighbor. For context she is an older Polish woman who lives alone and is very OCD about her grass. She will pick up leaves as they fall down from the tree and pick up leaves off her grass even if it rained. Anyways she has a front fence that she didn't run all down her property line. She stopped it at the front so her whole right side of her home is exposed next to ours. Then picked up the fence when her backyard begins. We had more than a few times where strangers would enter the side of our house and actually try and enter our home. So my husband decided to put up a front fence. At the time my neighbor was redoing her backyard fence and she knew my husband also wanted to do his backyard fence so she recommended her guy. As she followed up to see if my husband called the guy to get the work my husband told her that he did and that he also asked the guy for a quote for the front as well. She immediately lost it. Since then she has been acting so crazy. It started with her calling the alderman and she wrongfully accused us of taking her land. The alderman came and spoke with us and sided with me and my husband. The problem is that she wants to use our front walkway that's on the side of our house to access her right side of her property. The side that she didn't fence, so she fenced herself out and has always just went on our property to access her side. She's mad cause with our fence she can't just walk in and go to her side of her house anymore. We told her we would give her a key and she said no. Since she accused us of stealing her land we didn't feel comfortable about allowing her to come and go off our property anymore but she didn't care. She called a handyman to install a security camera and he worked on our side of the property and she didn't ask. I asked the guy to please inform her for any future work she will need to ask us for permission before she enters our property. The security camera was to watch us because she was so paranoid we would build a fence. This Saturday we had the company begin work and she totally lost it. She harassed the workers telling them to stop work and she was accusing us of stealing land. She threatened to report them to the city and to call the inspector on us. My husband had to stay outside with guys as they worked and when he went in she would come back out and harass them. Then she called the police. 4 police cars came. I don't know what she told them but it was not the truth because the cops sided with us and told her to stay inside and not bother us. Then Sunday she paces looking at our fence posts staring. She looked at our fence posts like 10 times on Sunday and then she was pacing our backyard and we have her on camera just staring and pacing and starting in. So creepy. Then Monday she is walking and starting again and she stops one of our neighbors and starts complaining to him about our fence right in front of our house. She continues pacing and staring through the day. Then later that Monday a guy comes and she walks him to our house and he starts looking at our posts. My husband came out this time and asked the guy who he was and why he was interested in looking at our property. He told us that he is a realtor and a good friend of hers and he came because she called him telling him that we stole her property from her and accused us of putting posts on her property which was all lies. We immediately showed him our proof and he agreed with us and tried to mediate with her explaining that we are legally able to build and that she can extend her fence so she is not blocked out. She just said no. No. And didn't want to do that. So my husband just left. We made sure everything was recorded. Then today. She came outside and stared at our property again, just pacing. She did the same in the backyard. Then she went to the front and started flagging down neighbors who she never talks to and starts to complain about our fence, calling us bad people and that we are stealing her land. She is acting so malicious. What do I do? It's crazy. Update: so I called the police to see what she accused us of on Saturday. They said that she alleged we were encroaching on her property and blocking her egress. The claim was noted as false by the police. Here's a rough drawing of me and my neighbor's property. Hopefully it helps better visualize. Drawing of property. Update 3/20/2025. It snowed and the neighbor came out with her hair curlers in her hair and her pajamas and slippers, no jacket, so she was in some hurry and went to the front of our house to stare while she was on the phone. Not sure what information she needed from staring at our posts, maybe she needed our address. Looks like she's trying to call someone else on us. She is straight loosing it as she knows the fence will be completed as soon as weather is better. Update: our fence has been up for a week and a half. The neighbor surprisingly did not bother the workers when they put the panels up. I was so surprised, so that's why I didn't really do an update, because I was like, okay, this is over. Finally she must have come to her senses. Yeah, I was wrong. Expressionless face. On Tuesday I was coming home from picking up my child from school and some man ran out his car and shouted if I was the owner of the home. I asked who he was and he stated he was from the city building in code enforcement while also briefly flashing his ID at me. I then proceeded to tell him that I am the owner and why was he here. He stated that he received a complaint about a building violation and that our fence is too tall and we must cut it down from 6 feet to 5 feet. Keep in mind my neighbor's fence is taller than ours, by the way. I told the inspector that 3 licensed contractors that we contacted all informed us we didn't need a permit, but that if they were wrong we would gladly comply, of course, and or apply for the needed permit. He stated that there is no possible way the city would approve it. And I told him we will work with the city and find a solution. We don't want to cut corners and want to do it right. My husband then comes out and gets informed on what's going on, and then my husband asks the inspector for his email or business card so we can follow up and work together to fix it. The guy refused to give us any card or email to follow up with him. He told my husband, all the information is on the city website, why do you need my information for? He was very rude. I know how to talk with people, so I told him. Look, I get you come across a lot of people who argue back and give you a hard time, so you're on guard, but I assure you we don't want to argue and we want to fix this issue. He then calmed down and told us he has kids too and he understand why we need a fence, etc. He then told us he would give us 48 hours to get a permit and then he left. Once I got home I reviewed the camera footage and the inspector entered our property and did not ring the doorbell to try and speak with us. He just trespassed and was walking around looking at our property. He didn't measure anything. Nothing. So I began to get suspicious. I then remembered when my neighbor threatened us and the workers, saying she had an inspector friend and she was gonna report us. On top of that, why didn't the inspector want to give me any information to follow up? So weird. Then he tells me to get a permit in 48 hours. He didn't even tell me which one. And if he said the city would not approve it, why didn't he tell me to apply in 48 hours? Things just seemed off. So then I went to do my research. I contacted my alderman's office and asked for assistance in applying for a permit. I wanted to make sure we did the right steps. After we apply for our permit, I asked the representative if they could look up the complaint for me because the interaction with the inspector seemed suspicious. She agreed and looks up the report. There was a report made 17 days ago by our neighbor, before our fence panels were up, that our fence was not on our property line. The report said nothing about fence height. She also told me there was no inspector assigned to the case and that it was still open pending investigation, so that's weird. Maybe he was legit and didn't update the case, but it's all not adding up. So the alderman agrees this is weird and states that they are going to get someone from downtown involved to speak with my neighbor because she is harassing us and it's just too much. The report she made was false. Our fence posts are on our property lines. We have our plat survey that proves all of this. In addition to all the other things listed in my other Reddit post that she has done. So today I'm just minding my own business like I usually do and I get a notification on my camera. I see someone sticking their hand through my fence, pointing at my back and moving down my fence repeatedly, doing the same thing. So I go outside and calmly ask the women, do you have any questions about my fence that I can help you with? I see that you're sticking your hand through and pointing. She tells me, I'm your neighbor down the block. I was just speaking with your next door neighbor and she has a problem with your fence. I let her know that the neighbor's claims are bogus and that we now have a permit for the height of our fence and I have a survey of our property proving we are on our property line. I told her that the neighbor is crazy and if she has any concerns to please speak with me. As I turn I see my neighbor in her bushes by her door. She was outside the whole time and stopped the neighbor as she was walking her dog to complain about our fence and spread false claims again. Then the neighbor leaves and immediately stands and stares at our house looking at the permit displayed on our front door. This is getting crazy. And I really didn't want to do tit for tat. But I reported her illegal basement apartment. Which is not a false allegation because her zoning does not allow for a basement apartment. She also does not have 2 entrances. I really didn't want to do it, but she is really pushing me to become a person I don't want to be. I want this all to be over already. Praying she can finally understand reality soon. I will update if anything else happens. Stories number 39. Aita for not helping my entitled family members. TLDR, my aunt thinks she's entitled to the opportunities I've worked hard for just because we're family. I, 19F, earned a spot in a highly competitive program when I was in high school, 9 selected students province-wide. My aunt and mom now want me to help get her son, my cousin, in, even though he hasn't done the work. She's asked me for favors before, like free concert tickets from when I backup danced for a gig I got through someone else's connection, and blew up when I said no. I don't think her son deserves the spot, and I'm not willing to risk my reputation for them. All of my co-workers and I won all kinds of awards, did a multitude of extracurriculars, and did charity/volunteer work to get into that position. I also still work there but in a different position which could become a conflict of interest due to my former position having to be opposed to my position now. I don't believe her son has the qualities needed for the position, nor would he even survive in the interview process, comparing him to myself, my co-workers, and the people who have gotten the position in the past. My mom thinks I owe it to them, but I've only ever shared my opportunities with her because she was the one who supported me through them. Her sister hasn't. I might just be a jealous prick who won't help them because no one was there to help me. But I don't want to share my hard work with people who I don't feel understand the efforts I put into getting the opportunities I've gotten. Aita for saying no to helping them. P.S. I will reply in the comments if you guys need more context for things like my job, my relation to them, why I don't consider them family, etc. Stories number 40. Aita, my parents kicked me out the house with no warning. For a little backstory, I've, 21M, had been living with my parents due to some recent life events. About a month ago I made a post here talking about how my dad crashed my car and my mom refused to let me use theirs for my commute to work. Long story short, my parents ended up paying for the expenses to have my car fixed. We did also end up sharing a car until I had mine's back. After that I thought it was done and over. My mom made a comment about it here and there, but it didn't seem to seriously bother her. Until about a week and a half ago. She demanded that I pay them all the money from my car expenses back. She said it wasn't fair, she lost money to an accident she didn't cause. And I think that's fair, but I reminded her that I didn't cause it either. Dad caused the accident and I told her I'm sorry that it ended up affecting her as well. But that didn't change the fact my car had to be fixed and it was Dad's responsibility. She got really mad at that and started on a rant about how it was unfair and I was using them for money. And what was my dad's response to all this? He just agreed with her. I ended up just telling her what I've already said because there was honestly nothing else to say. She's been very upset with me since then. But she never mentioned any possibility of kicking me out. So imagine my surprise a couple days ago when I came home to all of my stuff being outside of the house in boxes. Literally on the curb. I was honestly shocked and mad about this, and I immediately went in the house to question my parents about this. My mom said that she was tired of letting someone so ungrateful live in her house. My dad just repeated what my mom said, but in a kinder way because I guess he thought she was being harsh. I couldn't believe it. I asked her to explain how I have been being ungrateful and she responded by basically saying we raised you. We went back and forth for a bit and we were both pretty mad at each other. Then my mom told me to leave the house or else she would call the police on me. I have no idea if anything actually would have came of that situation. But at that point I was so confused and angry that I just went outside and called around to find someone I was able to stay with. I ended up sleeping at a friend's house. It's been a couple days now and siblings have both been calling me. I guess my parents must have told them what happened. I'm assuming it was specifically my mom bad talking me to them. My sister agrees with my mom and says I should have just paid the money back. My brother agrees that it was unfair for them to kick me out, but also says I should have just paid the money back. My dad has also been trying to reach me, but honestly I've just been too mad to pick up the phone for him. I'm just so shocked by the whole situation. I wouldn't say me and my parents' relationship has always been easy street, but it's never been this bad. I honestly thought we were good until all this. The worst part is I was planning to move out and rent an apartment with a friend once their lease was up in 2 months. My parents knew that and still decided to do this. I'm just so confused and I don't understand where they're coming from. I get they raised me and took care of me and all that, but I just feel like that doesn't give them the right to do this all of a sudden. I don't think I did anything wrong. So honestly, Ada, in this situation, update, Ada, my parents kicked me out without warning. Some things have happened since my last post. I calmed down a bit and decided to finally answer one of my dad's calls. He started talking about how afraid he was that I was never going to talk to them again. Then he said that things weren't supposed to go that way the other day and apologized for Mom putting my stuff outside. Apparently the plan was to talk to me about it first, but he said Mom got caught up in her emotions. When I asked why he didn't step in, he said it was because he didn't want to upset her anymore. I didn't really want to accept that excuse, but I took it so we could move forward. That was until I got another call from my brother. Mom's been absolutely shit talking me to him and my sister. Apparently she kept comparing me to them and how good they're doing, mind you they're both older than me by several years. Then she went on a rant about how much harder it's been to raise me compared to them. At one point he says she even insinuated that I was a mistake. Though he says to take that with a grain of salt as she didn't outright say it. My brother was uncomfortable with listening to her talk about me so harshly and he decided to call and tell me, I'm feeling a mix of emotions about all this right now. Part of me is still mad about the whole suddenly kicking me out thing. But I'm mostly just sad about it all. Knowing that my mom is saying all this stuff behind my back only makes me think she really means it. And whether she outright said it or not, hearing that she thinks I'm a mistake honestly crushed my soul. I don't understand why still, but I guess she has her reasons. I don't really want to talk to her again, but I do really want to know the truth of why she feels this way about me. I'm not sure about Dad yet. I'm not the type to cut people off, and having to do it to one person is already too much for me. I'm still staying with my friend as of now until I figure out what I'm doing. I guess I'll see how it goes from here. TLDR, my dad called and apologized. My mom told my siblings I was a mistake while shit-talking me. I'm still trying to figure things out. Stories number 41. Found out my boyfriend is a massive creep and I don't know what to do about it. He's 26. Long story short, I looked through my boyfriend's messages. I know. A week ago, I saw text messages that looked suspicious that were from a month before we met. It seems like he was taking out some of his high school-aged female coworkers out for smoothies and to the park. Alone, of course. I know the girls are high school-aged because I found their Instagrams. Some of the conversations lead me to believe that there was sexual activity, but he told the girl to delete some messages before handing her phone in to her parents. He flirted with them in the messages and had apparently been buying them vapes. I'm really disgusted and devastated. He has proposed to me. Moved across the country for me. Met my family. He was otherwise a perfect partner. He's otherwise a person of excellent character, so this is extremely shocking and I have felt sick ever since I found out. I haven't been able to eat for a week. It seems like he has a teaching job lined up for this summer and I don't know how to stop it. Those messages don't have enough direct evidence and we're in another state. I'm scared and I don't know what to do. He hasn't talked to them at all since we met, so it's been a while. I'm just sick and I don't know how to cope with this or what to do about it. I thought about sending an anonymous message saying I know what he did so he'll be scared into leaving the country. I have no clue what to do. Please help me and I appreciate any advice. Every time he is around I get a 1,000-yard stare. Every time he touches me it's the same. Do I confront him? What do I do? Stories number 42. Aita for feeling annoyed that my son's dad is, finally, having realizations about how badly he ruined our relationship. Backstory, my son's dad and I basically grew up together, my abusive nana raised both of us. He was a foster child. My mom was a single mom, who pawned me off on my nana 3 to 6 days a week. Needless to say, we have a lot of trauma, though I feel he went through much worse trauma. After years of separation, hadn't talked since childhood, he was homeless and I offered him a place to stay to get on his feet. We kind of started dating by accident, COVID lockdowns, spending every moment together, one thing led to another, we started sleeping together, then it just turned into assuming a relationship. It was nice to date someone that I didn't have to explain my childhood to because he went through a lot of the same stuff. Unfortunately, he greatly took advantage of me. For a long time, I didn't care, as I knew he wasn't taught any life skills. I was very open to helping him, pointing him to resources, etc. I ended up always paying for everything, even when all my student loans money was used up very quickly. I worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. At one point, we started going dumpster diving for bottles or things to sell to even have food to eat. There was always something off about him, as in he was a dreamer, but I eventually felt like his spirituality obsession was more than just spirituality. A year in, I started to think it was schizophrenia. Sure enough, it was, but he didn't get diagnosed until 3 years after I brought up my concerns. My taking him in screwed me financially. He promised to get a job, see a doctor, go to different programs for support. Empty promises. After 3 years, I was financially drained, in tens of thousands of dollars in debt for different loans I was convinced to take out to help him, or to cover his portion of rent when we moved out from my old roommate's place, and lost all my friends. Etc. I also lost all my belongings multiple times from having to move due to his actions, becoming violent with me, destroying my belongings, his belongings, damage to every apartment we had to move to. I knew it was all mental health related, but he would refuse to see a doctor. Police were involved many times. Jailed many times. 2 different charges, that eventually got dropped, both times. He would always come back to my place because he had nowhere else to go, even if I tried to kick him out. 3 hours later, he'd be knocking on my window. I even flunked out of university, while trying to support him. Police would never remove him from all the apartments, where my name was the only one on the lease, because the shelters are full and we have nowhere to bring him. Plus he would always pull the sympathy card and make the police feel bad for him because he was an abused foster child. No one but me ever tried to hold him accountable for his actions, which always turned into a violent argument. So, I was, essentially, stuck with this violent schizophrenic dude, who the police wouldn't help with, because COVID times were like the Wild West. I was legitimately trapped with him, forcing me to fall lower and lower, going completely backwards in my life. While I was pregnant, we had many conversations of planning and healing for our baby. I started therapy, hoping to lead by example, and got on ADHD and depression meds, well before I was pregnant, to show that meds are not always a bad thing. Moved to 3 different cities during my pregnancy, hoping being closer to friends or family might help us feel more supported and stable. It did not. Everything just continued to spiral lower and lower over the 3 years we were together. Landed in Saskatoon 3 months before my due date. Living 4 of us in my mom's tiny 2-bedroom apartment, mom, my teen brother, and us. We had no other option. My friends we rented a basement from kicked us out because he kept stealing beer from her BF, who worked at a brewery. Any conversations any of us had, always turned into a psychotic screaming session between them and my son's dad, and eventually me, too. Anyway, 3 weeks before my due date, we got our own apartment. He had a stable good-paying job all summer. I was thinking things were starting to get better, then he lost the job a couple days before my due date. Now living in a $1,300 apartment we can't pay for, with a baby just days away. I wanted to give up. I laid on the kitchen floor crying, basically until I went into labor. Hospital experience with him was fucking horrendous. Just terrible in every way, just like my pregnancy. He even went home the day our baby was born, to shower, and disappeared for 3 hours. Our apartment was across the bridge, 15-minute walk from the hospital. When I texted him he said he was just hopping on a few rounds of Modern Warfare with his cousin, the day his freaking child was born. A month after baby was born, all he'd done was play video games. We hadn't paid rent that month, and didn't have money for the next month either. I broke down again begging him to find a job, or get on income assistance, and go to a doctor. Turned into a huge screaming fight with him destroying and smashing all our baby's furniture and belongings, every gift from the baby shower, as well as everything else in our entire apartment. He punched me in the back while I was holding baby, and that was the last straw for me. I packed up and left for my mom's as the police were arriving again. Owing almost $3,000 in rent, we got evicted. I lost all my belongings and baby's belongings again. He moved back to BC to be homeless again. I moved on with my life. Eventually, he showed up in my city to take advantage of me again. Says he's at the airport and needs a ride. He had no bag. Nothing. Just the clothes on his back, and his phone. Not even a phone charger, no money either, expecting to stay with me, too. He knows I'm a sucker, and I'll always help someone in need, even if I hate their guts. Eventually, after 3 months of begging him to leave, and police again not doing anything at all, I got him out of my place, but then he got evicted 2 more times and caught charges again, assault and mischief, then moved back to BC again. He's been there for 6 months now. His life sucks out there lol, but after a stint in the mental health ward, after a police altercation, telling them to just shoot him, he's on meds finally, and is realizing how much he fucked up our relationship. He's been texting me saying things like, I don't know why I didn't just get on meds. I don't know why I didn't just go on gov income assistance. Life would be so much better now, if I had. We could have been a family, if I had. Not to mention he has never stopped texting me, I love you guys. I miss you guys. Since I first left him, I feel so irritated. I understand it was his mental health that broke everything in our lives, but it hit a point where it was just an excuse. He wasn't doing anything to help his situation or mental health. I truly loved him. He was my longest relationship. I always could see the good in him. We were best friends. But he broke that. Mental health is not someone's fault, but I feel it is his fault because he didn't do anything to resolve his struggle so we could even attempt to succeed. He hasn't been involved much in my son's life in the 2.5 years since he was born. He's helped financially only a handful of times, but barely anything. I've done everything all on my own. I'm happy he's on meds. I'm happy he's feeling a bit better, but he's still super unstable. I don't want to hear about his realizations. I don't want to hear about his feelings. I don't even want an apology. I just want him to leave me alone, and support and talk to his son whenever he can/chooses to. I'll never keep his son from him, he knows that. It's been 5.5 years since we reconnected and started dating, and it's been a terrible awful 5.5 years of dealing with him. Am I the asshole for feeling this way? Stories number 43. Aita for lying to my coworkers about how I met my wife. So this is one of those things that I thought was harmless but now I'm wondering if it was a jerk move. I've been married for a year and my coworkers were asking the other day how my wife and I met. I told them we met through mutual friends, which is not true. We actually met online. SSO This is one of those things that I thought was harmless but now I'm wondering if it was a jerk move. I've been married for a year and my coworkers were asking the other day how my wife and I met. I told them we met through mutual friends, which is not true. We actually met on Kick. She's a streamer. She was a streamer, I was just a guy in chat. We got talking in DM, started video calling, one thing led to another and it actually worked out. We've been together a few years now and it's been great. But I've told people the mutual friend story a few times now because every time I even think about saying we met through a live stream chat I just know people are going to judge. Like, oh, you met a girl while you were watching her stream and she actually dated you. Even when I've hinted at it lightly people have made faces or jokes about simps and stuff like that. Anyway, one of my coworkers just found out the real story because I guess my wife casually mentioned it to someone at a party and now people at work are acting weird about it. A couple of them straight up asked me why I lied and I said I didn't want to get clowned for it. One guy said it was shady to lie about how you met your wife and it made it seem like I was ashamed of her or that I didn't respect how we met. That's not true at all, I just didn't want to deal with the weird vibes or feel like the office joke. So yeah, Aita for not being honest about how we met. Stories number 44. One of the coolest things that ever happened when I worked at a hotel. I used to work at a hotel in Chicago, and one time I was checking in a couple who were in town for a company trip. The company was taking everyone out to see Hamilton, along with some nice dinners and other fun activities. I got really excited because I love the show, so we ended up chatting about it for a bit before they went up to their room. The next day, when I came in for my shift, one of my coworkers told me that the couple had come down earlier looking for me and said they wanted to give me an extra ticket to Hamilton. I honestly didn't believe it and tried not to get my hopes up. A little while later, they came back and asked if I was free around 2 p.m. the next day. One of the spouses from another couple on the trip couldn't make it, so they had a spare ticket and really did want me to have it. I was scheduled to work until 3, but my manager let me leave early. Thanks to their kindness, I got to see Hamilton live. It is still one of my favorite memories from that job. Stories number 45. AIO, at my wit's end with my husband. Just as the title says, I am at my wit's end with my husband and his bullshit. I work all of the time because I am the breadwinner. I make significantly more than him, so I work a lot, you know. To pay bills. I get up at 4:30 a.m. every morning and get everything ready for the day, get our kids ready, 2 years old and 4 years old, and I have to leave by 6:30 a.m. because I have an hour commute to work. I work from 7:30 to 5:30 p.m., and I have an hour commute home, so I get home about 6:30 p.m. I then jump straight into figuring out dinner, giving the kids a bath, getting them ready for bed, and they are asleep by 8:30 p.m. At this point, I might be able to sit down for the day, but usually not because there's dishes to do, laundry, dogs to tend to, just household chores, etc. I am so tired, mentally, physically, and emotionally all of the time. My husband works in the town we live in. His job is super flexible. He just has to start the day by 9 a.m. and he's usually done no later than 3 p.m., but usually 2 p.m. My issue is he comes home at 2 to 3 p.m. and does a whole lot of fucking nothing. And if he actually does manage to do something, it's half-assed, rushed, or incomplete. This is causing me to build resentment towards him, and right now, I can't stand to even be around him. I have tried talking to him, asking him to do things, bringing things to his attention nicely. But things will only change for a day or two before it goes back to the same shit. He does drop our children off at school and picks them up because I have to leave so early and get home so late. So he's the one who's always taking them to daycare and school. I will add that when he gets off at 2, he does not go pick them up, he waits till 5 and then picks them up. So he's home doing nothing or very little until then. He's so irresponsible that even though I am not the parent who even drops them off or picks them up, they still have to call or text me when our kids need something for school, like more diapers, wipes, milk etc. Because they tell him, but he forgets and never brings what they need. I make all their doctors/dentist apps and usually take them. I coordinate all family trips, birthdays, special events, school functions, etc. I do all the financial budgeting, keeping track of when bills are due and paying them. And many other things. My mental load is absolutely insane and he just does not get it. We fight constantly and he tells me that I think I'm better than him because I make more money and that I think I'm too good for him. I don't think this. I don't care about who makes what money, I just think if he has much more free time at home he could step up a little and help with household chores at the least. Am I wrong for thinking this? Or he could choose to work more, this is an option at his job, to make more money so I can work less and be home to take care of these things. Am I overreacting for being fed up with this? Stories number 46. Aita for bringing an uninvited +1 to my friend's small wedding. I'm seeking judgment on behalf of a friend, who is the asshole in this situation. My friend A was getting married, and our mutual friend B traveled from across the world to attend the wedding. Friend B wanted to bring her own friend as a +1 to the event. However, when A consulted her fiancé, they declined, explaining that they were hosting a small wedding with a limited guest list, even having to cut some close friends, and didn't feel comfortable having a stranger attend. The rest of us friends were allowed +1s, but our guests were either spouses or long-term partners who also knew the couple. Friend B was very upset, feeling it was unfair that, as a single person who made a significant effort to attend, she couldn't bring a guest. Despite A's decision, B decided to bring her friend to the wedding anyway. A believes that B is the asshole for insisting and bringing an uninvited guest without consent. Reddit, what are your thoughts? Stories number 47. Aita for saying no to my MIL moving in with us right now. My, 31F, husband, 30M, and I got married a month and a half ago. Just 3 weeks after our wedding, his father passed away unexpectedly. The grief has been immense, and I've been doing my best to support him while also navigating my own health issues. I'm currently on medical leave and emotionally stretched thin. I've traveled halfway across the world to be with him and I'm staying at his mother's home right now. We're South Asian, and my husband is the only son, which comes with a lot of cultural pressure to step up and care for his mother, especially now. I understand this deeply. Men in our culture often feel indebted to their mothers, and caregiving is seen as a duty and a form of love. I respect that. That said, his mother will be coming to Canada and will be living primarily with his sister, who has a bigger home and a child. She's not homeless or without support. The idea came up that she might stay with us periodically, and we were going to give up our current apartment to move into a bigger place, which would have cost over $1,000 more in rent, to accommodate her. I didn't feel ready for that, especially because, I don't feel fully comfortable around her yet. We're still getting to know each other, we haven't even settled into married life yet. I'm still processing grief, health issues, and the emotional whiplash of our wedding plus his father's death. Before we got married, I had expressed clearly that I was not comfortable living with his parents, but I would be okay living close by so we could visit and support them. I'm not as close to my parents and they would never make me feel obligated to care for them. I come from a more independent background. To make things worse, the day after our wedding, my MIL told me that I needed to lose a decent amount of weight so I could look prim and proper, and that she could get new clothes made for me. That comment sent me into a massive spiral. I regressed into a teenage version of myself, full of shame. It took me weeks to emotionally recover. My husband and his sister stood up for me, and MIL did apologize, but it still affected my sense of safety and comfort around her. When I told my husband I wasn't comfortable moving or having her stay with us right now, he said he felt depressed and like he doesn't have a supportive wife. He asked, "What if in 2 years you still say no?" and said I was being closed off. I tried to explain my side, gently, but he cut me off, said I was going on a spiel and that I kept repeating myself. Then he shut down completely and said, "I'm just trying to sleep." I feel gaslit. I've never said never to his mom staying with us. I just said not yet. I need time to adjust, to settle into this marriage, and to feel like I have a home that's ours, not a space where I'm a third wheel in a family dynamic that existed long before I joined it. Stories number 48. Do you guys want us, girls, to do the first move or not? This is driving me nuts. Every time I genuinely showed interest, aka vocalize it in a mature and direct way, to a guy, I almost see the guy wither away. But then if I'm being protective of my feelings then suddenly I'm a desert rose. I was literally pushed by every man around me to go for it and tell a guy that I liked him because I noticed that it looked like he liked me, and he suddenly got cold with me. By the way, all the guys that told me to do it apologized, they said they didn't see it coming, but it happened to me multiple times. Is it just being unlucky or just a, don't do it, kind of thing? Edit, he told a person that he liked me. I confirmed that I liked him too, he went cold. He also kept showing me interest, but every time I showed the same he just gave me the cold shoulder. Again, I'm very careful, I won't make the move on someone who doesn't seem interested. And the reason why I'm asking is cause this happened more than twice. Stories number 49. My mom is being awful about my wedding and I don't know how to handle it. I am getting married in May of 2026. We are slowly planning the wedding. My fiancé and are paying for most of it, with some help from our parents. My mother, who by nature is not a supportive person, has been extremely critical of what we have done so far for our wedding plans, from the caterer we booked, who we did and didn't send save the dates to, right down to even disapproving of the date. She told me that before I make a decision, I need to get her approval first. She is helping us pay, with I am extremely grateful for, however, my future in-laws are as well. And they're simply writing us a check and telling us to spend it how we'd like. They are super supportive of all of our plans. I am at the point where I get very uncomfortable talking about the wedding with my mother. I want to stand up to her, but I'm afraid that if I do, she will say that if we don't do her ideas, she won't help us pay. Her help will be needed. However, I am getting extremely fed up with her constant criticism and trying to turn it into her wedding. Any and all advice is appreciated.